capital of the world.
To participate in the general public comment period, please call now at 818-238-3335. For any scheduled public hearings, please call when prompted to speak if you want the comment to be part of the record. Speaking times will be determined by the total number of public comment cards and callers in the queue at the start of each public comment period. For 1 to 20 total speakers, each speaker will receive up to 3 minutes. For 21 to 39 total speakers, each speaker will receive up to 2 minutes. And for 40 plus total speakers, each speaker will receive up to 1 minute. No additional comment cards or calls will be accepted once the public comment period begins.
Good evening and welcome to a joint meeting of the Burbank City Council with the successor agency, Housing Authority, and Parking Authority on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Please join me for a moment of reflection. This moment is intended to begin our meeting with a positive and collective support for our beloved community. The City Council welcomes everyone joining us this evening, and we encourage you to take a moment to reflect on our community and the work we will be doing tonight. Although each of us has our own unique reason for being here, we are united in our passion for our wonderful city. As we pause, let us consider our individual contributions and what they mean to those around us, and let us find solace in knowing that by working together with a shared spirit of community and partnership, we will always act responsibly for the betterment of Burbank. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to pause for a moment of silence in honor of two individuals. Tonight, with heavy hearts, we express our deepest condolences to the family, loved ones, and colleagues of Baldwin Park officer Sam Riveros, who was tragically killed in the line of duty on May 31st, 2025. He will be remembered for his unwavering commitment and dedication to serving and protecting the community, and he will be remembered deeply by many of our officers and many of us who had the opportunity to know him. In addition, tonight we express our profound sadness at the sudden and tragic passing of actor and musician Jonathan Joss, who was best known for his roles on King of the Hill and Parks and Recreation, bringing Native American culture into the limelight in popular media industry, and right here at home in Burbank. We offer our deepest condolences to his family, friends, colleagues, and all who are mourning the tragic passing of these two individuals. Thank you, everyone. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam City Clerk, please conduct the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Anthony.
Happy Pride, everyone present.
Councilmember Mullins,
Here.
Councilmember Rosati,
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Takahashi,
Present.
and Mayor Pris.
Present.
Thank you.
All right. There will be 5 periods of public comment tonight, and members of the public may comment in person or by telephone during our general public comment period and must submit the yellow cards or call before the comment period begins. You can submit those right here to our lovely city clerk. The first public comment period is for general comment on any matter concerning city business or any agenda item. And if you're here in person and wish to speak, you should have submitted the yellow public comment card. If you would like to participate in the general public comment over the phone, please call now at 818-238-3335. Callers will be placed in a queue until the general comment period begins, at which time no additional calls will be taken. If you would like to participate in public comment for the public hearings over the phone, please call any time between now and the beginning of the applicable public hearing at 818-238-3335. Callers will be placed in a queue until the public comment period begins, and then no additional calls will be taken. Additional public comment periods will be available following the reports to council this evening, and interpreters are available in Spanish and Armenian right here in the front row if anybody needs assistance. Please connect with them if you're in need of assistance, and please do so before the public comment period begins, because if no one needs assistance, then these lovely humans get to go home and enjoy the rest of their evening. All right, we have 5 announcements this evening.
For June 3rd, 2025. To celebrate Pride Month, Burbank Public Library is launching a community art contest to design a new limited edition library card that reflects queer and trans joy. Submissions will be accepted from June 1st through June 30th, and the winning design will be unveiled in September during National Library Card Sign-Up Month. The contest is open to artists 15 and older who live or go to school in Los Angeles County. Full details and templates are available at burbanklibrary.org/Pride Art Contest. The Community Development Department's Planning Division invites you to a virtual informational community meeting on Thursday, June 12th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. City staff will provide an overview of proposed updates to Burbank's Density Bonus Ordinance, including an overview of updates being considered and an overview of a proposed draft program that would create a mechanism to produce community benefits in exchange for additional density and streamlining for certain housing projects in the city. For more details, including the Zoom link, please visit the city's calendar webpage or scan the QR code on the screen. Get ready to camp under the stars retro style. Join the Parks and Recreation Department for a Centennial Retro Campout on June 14th through 15th at Robert Gross Park. Enjoy a night of outdoor fun with family activities, arts and crafts, a movie in the park, globe bike rides, and more. Tickets are only $15 per person and include dinner and breakfast. Register now at burbankparks.com. The City of Burbank's Economic Development Team will be hosting the next Burbank Startup Pitch Fest event on Thursday, June 26th at Woodbury University, Fletcher Jones Auditorium from 5:30 to 8 p.m. This event is an opportunity for local entrepreneurs to take the stage and pitch their startups live in front of a panel of expert judges. Application details and registration details can be found on the Economic Development website, econdevburbank.com/entrepreneurs, or by reaching out to econdev@burbankca.gov. A significant Burbank water and power investment is kicking off in your neighborhood. The meter system upgrade project involving 2 components, upgrading water meter communication modules and exchanging electric meters. This important project ensures that Burbank residents continue to receive efficient, reliable, and modern utility services. Learn more about the project at burbankwaterandpower.com/meter-system-upgrade. This concludes the announcements for this evening.
All right. Oh, hello. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay, it's a little quiet. Oh, there we go. Thank you. All right, let's get into our presentations. We have two exciting presentations this evening, and our first presentation is for the Austin Cook Award for Outstanding Youth. And at this time, I would like to invite the amazing, fabulous Youth Board Chair, Aiden Yoon, to join me at the podium.
Good evening, Mayor Perez and council members. My name is Aiden Yoon, and I am the chair of the 2024-2025 Burbank Youth Board. I'm here to present the Burbank Youth Board's 2025 Austin Cook Award for Outstanding Youth. This award is in recognition of the wonderful character modeled by Austin Cook throughout his life. Austin attended Jefferson Elementary School and John Muir Middle School. Austin's life was suddenly cut short while he was in middle school, but during his time with us, he touched many hearts and served as an example to his peers. Austin was a hardworking student and active in the Burbank community. Tonight, we want to recognize one student in honor of Austin who has gone above and beyond to make a positive impact in our city. We distributed nomination forms to all middle school and high school administrators in Burbank. Additionally, a press release was issued and award nominations also were publicized through city social media accounts. There were numerous applications received with outstanding students nominated, each with a variety of impressive accomplishments and described with distinguished character. After a thoughtful discussion, the youth board selected one student, and I am personally very proud of our selection. The recipient of the 2025 Austin Cook Award is Siddhartha Reynolds, a 6th grade student at Dolores Huerta Middle School. Siddhartha Reynolds, a 12-year-old 6th grader at Dolores Huerta Middle School, has called Burbank home for the past 7 years. He began his educational journey at Stevenson Elementary and has consistently stood out as an exceptional student and compassionate leader. His academic accomplishments include the President's Education Award for Excellence, perfect scores in English on the Cass State assessments, and multiple honors for his creative writing and essay contributions. Outside of academics, Siddhartha shines as a leader and community builder. He is the founder of Sid and Buddies, a charity he launched to bring birthday joy to children affected by crisis and displacement. Inspired by the stories of children who lost everything during the Los Angeles wildfires, Siddhartha asks a very powerful question. How do kids celebrate birthdays when they've lost everything? His answer became a mission: restore hope through small, meaningful celebrations. His initiative has earned praise and recognition from state leaders including Assemblymember Nick Schultz and California State Senators Caroline Menjivar and Sasha Renee Perez. Siddhartha was also recently featured by media outlets My Burbank and USTA SoCal for his service and leadership. At school, Siddhartha is admired not just for his straight-A academic performance, but also for his character. He earned the Silver for Super Students Award at Dolores Huerta Middle School for being a kid of character. He placed second in the Burbank Human Relations Council essay and poetry contest, and he serves as a General Assembly Committee Chair in the YMCA's Model United Nations. Whether moderating debates or mentoring peers, he leads with empathy, purpose, and clarity. Beyond his community work, Siddhartha is a talented USTA-ranked junior tennis player, a self-taught musician on piano and drums, and a curious soul with a passion for reading, traveling, and discovering new foods. Fun fact, he was once a Pampers model way back when and has another acting credit. And he has another acting credit coming soon in an upcoming commercial. His many interests reflect the boundless creativity and a desire to connect with people and ideas. Siddhartha's dream is to expand Sid and Buddies nationally and partner with schools and relief organizations to reach more children in need. Whether through a leadership, compassion, or simply sharing time with those he loves, Siddhartha brings light wherever he goes. For his heart, vision, and unwavering kindness, he is a deserving recipient of the Austin Cook Award. Mr. Reynolds, congratulations on this wonderful achievement. You are a shining example to your peers and inspiration to others, and you make a positive impact in Burbank. On behalf of the council, I would like to present you with this certificate of recognition. Please come up now.
You read my part. Well, Sid, what can I say other than when do you sleep?
At night.
He says at night, but I don't know that I believe him. You're just a model young citizen. It's amazing to meet you, to have seen you go throughout the program, go throughout different parts of the things that you do. You're just amazing. And I have to say, sometimes I get tongue-tied talking when I know he's going to talk next, because if you haven't heard Sid speak, you're watching a future congressperson right here. You put the rest of us to shame sometimes. But I'll stop embarrassing you now and hand you this certificate. We're really grateful for all that you do, and I really hope to see you in that seat one day, because you deserve it.
Thank you.
So on behalf of myself and the entire city council, Thank you for everything you've done for our city, for the young people of the entire Los Angeles region, and here's to everything you will continue to do, and congratulations.
I'm just really thankful and excited to be able to receive this award. And I'm also really thankful. Wait, I already said that. But I'm really grateful, and to all the young kids, just keep on doing good stuff.
Sid. All right. Our next presentation this evening is also a class act. And deserves a certificate of recognition for the 2025 Leadership Burbank class and their Play Without Limits, Empowering Possibilities with Adaptive Sports project. I would like to invite Ms. Griselda de la Cruz, the Leadership Burbank class of 2025 co-chair and project manager, to join me at the podium. And if you'd like to welcome up anybody you got with you, feel free.
Yes, it's a group project, so we all need to be up here. Thank you so much. As mentioned, my name is Griselda de la Cruz, and I am a proud member of Leadership Burbank's class of 2025. Our class project this year was Play Without Limits. Not only did we want to raise funds to purchase specialized equipment for the adaptive sports program, but in the process we wanted to raise awareness and visibility for the city's program. Our goal is that this specialized equipment, the fencing wheelchairs and the all-terrain hiking wheelchairs, will create a space for individuals with disabilities to simply have fun, to connect with others, build relationships, and be a valued member of our Burbank community. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I have to say, Leadership Burbank every year has a wonderful project, but this year it's really great to see how timely it is. You know, in a lot of our adaptive sports expo work, everything we've done, I've gotten to meet a lot of young people who are looking at those 2028 Paralympics and are seeing things they would like to achieve, are seeing themselves competing in future Olympics. And thanks to your generous donation, they will have more opportunities to do so. So thank you. It's incredibly important, and you met the moment. So thank you for that, all of you. Thank you. On behalf of myself and my colleagues on the council, we'd like to present you with the certificate of recognition. Congratulations, and thank you for all you've done.
Jonathan is also a member of our Leadership Burbank class.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, that concludes our presentations for tonight. Congrats, everyone. Mr. City Manager, do you have anything to report?
Madam Mayor, yes, thank you for asking. I do have one item. I'd like to introduce David Hernandez, our BWP's Manager of Transmission and Distribution Engineering, to provide an update, a brief update on the rebuild of our Golden State substation. So, David.
May you pull up the presentation, please? Good evening. Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Dave Hernandez, manager of the Transmission and Distribution Engineering team at Burbank Water and Power, and I'd like to, looks like I lost the presentation there. Thank you. And I'd like to give you an update on the Golden State substation rebuild. Very quickly, I'd like to recognize the project manager who did an excellent job. His name is Yusuf Shadid, and he's a principal electrical engineer in the substation engineering group, and he was unable to join us tonight. Now, BWP has 20 electrical substations in its territory. The one that we upgraded or recently rebuilt was the one circled in red there on the slide. Now, in April of 2020, we had a transformer fire. And not only did it damage the transformer, but it damaged the electrical equipment that's shown in the background there as well. So we had plans to rebuild the substation, and we first hired and retained a design-build contractor who started with demolition. And what that includes is removing the electrical control building, as well as the two transformers that we had there and the foundations. Every substation has a lot of underground electrical conduit associated with it. This is no exception. So this is a picture of all the electrical underground conduit for that project. We also installed electrical equipment foundations, a new transformer firewall. The electrical equipment building came in 4 sections, and each piece had to be lifted into the station with a crane that's shown on the right-hand side there. And we also installed 2 large high-voltage power transformers and had to move those in with cranes as well. There's a picture of the completed substation with the electrical equipment building fully assembled. So the station was energized in December of 2024 with a budget of about $17.1 million. We actually came under budget at $17.0 million. And we received an insurance reimbursement of about $9.6 million, which meant that BWP's cost was approximately $7.5 million. So we realized a lot of benefits from this project. One, we enhanced personnel safety by installing equipment that was safer for personnel to work on due to arc resistance and things of that nature. We increased the capacity of the system by 50%, and we made provisions in the equipment so we can upgrade to 100% down the road. We also improved the operational flexibility and visibility by installing some remote controlled equipment and also some other features in the system. And lastly, the BWP's cost was about 25% of what it would cost to build that substation today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and music to our ears. We love to hear we saved.
Yeah.
Any quick questions for? Thank you
Okay.
so much. We
You're welcome.
really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Mr. City Manager, anything else to report?
No, thank you. That's all.
All right. Mr. City Attorney, will you please report on closed session?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, and for the benefit of the public, the City Council met this afternoon at 5 p.m. to discuss one item of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1 in the case of Marino versus the City of Burbank. The City Council took no reportable action. And Madam Mayor, if I could, since I have the microphone and it's just before public comment, I wanted to make a statement about one of the budget items that the council has not yet considered. Okay. So as the public who's been tuning in and council knows, there are 2 budget discussion papers concerning housing items that are still in the budget book but have not been discussed by council because my office has sought Fair Political Practices Commission advice on various council member conflicts. We do not yet have all of the advice received back from the FPPC, so council has not yet considered the expanded program for rental relocation assistance for special households and has not yet considered a program for rental unit data collection, also known as a rent registry. They will not be doing so tonight. These items will have to be brought back before the council once we've received all of the advice back from the Fair Political Practices Commission. I just thought it was appropriate to make that announcement now before the public comes and comments on matters that these two matters will not be before the council this evening.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. And am I correct to assume that those of us with letters that are pending should not be discussing these items at all in our responses?
No, and I will send correspondence to the council once we know the status of the conflicts of interest. So yes, I prefer there not be any comments, responses given because those matters are not under consideration for the council at this time.
Thank you for the clarification. We appreciate it. All right. That being said, now is the time for general public comment. The general public comment is now beginning, and no additional cards or calls will be accepted. Madam City Clerk, how many public comment cards and callers do we have altogether?
We have 14 cards, and we have no callers at the moment.
No callers. Okay. There being 14 cards, each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak based on council policy. And our first speaker is Ron Bax, followed by Rennie Gabriel. And feel free to correct me if I mispronounce your name. Welcome, Mr. Bax. You have 3 minutes.
Well, after last week, I've only prepared for maybe a minute. Last 2 weeks. Okay. First, I would like to point out, once again, it's extremely difficult to have a conversation using 1-minute monologue sound bites where I have to wait 2 weeks to respond to your responses, if any. That said, remember this? Okay. My painter patched the hole. There's a man who is in property maintenance industry daily. His estimate of the cost when I asked him to replace the accompanying fitting was $500. I told him the parts were more than that, so he said $1,000. My look made him modify the estimate to $1,500. I decided to stop torturing him, and I have been counseled to tighten up my presentation. Oh, we didn't plan that. Okay. So, $3,149.29. That's where the money goes. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. You get like a lot more time left. All right. Our next speaker is Rennie Gabriel, followed by Shirley Tom. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, Mayor Perez and fellow council members. My name is Rennie Gabriel, and my wife and I have been mom and pop housing providers in the city of Burbank since 2008. And it appears you're attempting to drive out all the small housing providers based on your recent proposed housing ordinance and rent registry. I don't know if you're planning to do the same for providing unfair and one-sided regulations for the grocery stores that provide food, but I feel singled out as a housing provider. My tenants are wonderful people, and your regulations will make it worse for them, not better. 26 years ago, I was flat broke after two divorces and a business failure. At age 50, I had to start all over, and I teach my tenants what I did that allows me to be a property owner today. And many of my tenants have gone on to own single-family houses of their own, and one of them even bought a triplex. During the pandemic, 100% of my tenants paid 100% of their rent because I have a relationship with them. These kinds of things will not happen under the proposed regulations. For 7 units, I have 1 water meter, 1 gas meter, and 5 electric meters. With the rising costs of utilities that I pay for, not my tenants, it makes more sense for me to give up, sell out to a large entity that will tear down the property and build something that most people can't afford. 90% of economists say that controlling rents does not provide the intended results, but leads to more homelessness and declining neighborhoods. And the liberal Swedish economist Assar Lindbeck said, and I quote, "Rent control appears to be the most efficient technique presently known to destroy a city other than bombing." Your regulations will make it worse for tenants, not better. I teach my tenants what I did, that I said, and it makes more sense for me to give up. This is what your proposals are leading to, and ordinances like this are leading to the destruction of the city of Burbank.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Shirley. Let's make sure we can hear everybody who's next. Our next speaker is Shirley Tom, followed by Scott Myers.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Shirley Tom. I'm a longtime Burbank resident and a housing provider for 17 years. I enjoyed being a housing provider until 4 years ago. I experienced financial hardship and emotional distress with a tenant eviction that cost me $70,000, which I'm still trying to recoup my costs. My operating expenses have skyrocketed tremendously the last few years. I also received a compliant letter from the city to do soft fit earthquake retrofit on my apartment carport, and I got an estimate for $65,000. I oppose rent control. The rent control will not cover all my operating expenses and future renovations. The housing providers cannot survive on 3% increase annually to maintain the rental property upkeep. And also, Burbank already has rent control, AB 1482, the state rent control. Why do we need another rent control? If Burbank wants to subsidize housing, then Burbank should build affordable housing throughout our city. Rent control causes housing providers to delay repairs, and only urgent repairs will be done to the building, and other improvements are on hold. Rent control severely impact mom and pop housing providers who rely on their rental properties as a source of retirement income. City Council, if you were a housing provider like myself, can you survive on 3% rent increase? Or do you have $65,000 in your bank account right now to pay for earthquake retrofit? And also, please oppose the rent registry. My rental information is from my eyes only. Please stop micromanaging all housing providers' rental businesses. On behalf of all Burbank housing providers, please reject rent control and registry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Scott Myers, followed by Mike Darian.
Good evening, Mayor Perez and Burbank City Council, and to the good people of Burbank. I live just over the border in the city of Los Angeles, but I spend most of my time and most of my money here in Burbank, having operated a business here for about 9 years. I've come here to remind you that some people indeed campaign and then serve under a purpose of evasion, which is a phrase in the oath taken in California. Despite the oath they take, they sometimes parrot the words and perform it. They don't mean it. This video is from 32 days ago.
Madam Mayor, I paused his time.
Thank you. While we are waiting, Did anybody request interpreter services? Okay, you are both welcome to go home.
Very annoyingly, and there's a difference. You can be very annoyingly, and there's a difference. You can be right and annoying, or wrong and pleasant, and we would always prefer.
Well, how am I being unpleasant? Like, what have I done?
Fucking hectoring us! Leave me the fuck alone, please don't.
Who is this? Please. Who is this? Who just grabbed my phone?
I have no idea. Some random person on the street, man. He's walking with you? He left with you? You're bothering them.
Who just grabbed my phone?
Some random people, man. You can't talk to random people like that.
I have his video. I have his face on video. My friend, I need your name because I need to report you to the police. Constantine, you are on city council. Are you mayor right now? You're on city council, and this guy just broke the law on a public street. You witnessed it. You witnessed it, Constantine.
I'm going to ask
and you're on camera.
To go home.
Okay. This guy who was with Constantine just grabbed my phone on a public street
For harassment, and then we'll take
He just grabbed my phone and I filmed it. Constantine witnessed it, and now he won't tell me who the guy is that broke the law. Thanks, guys. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
It was when I read it, I was like, this seems totally fine. Why is everybody? All right, we gotta go. Okay, hold on. We gotta pick up his. We gotta pick up his wife. It's real quick.
Okay. We've got to pick up his wife, was what Adam Goldberg said. So a victim seeks help from a city councilman who then lies to him about not knowing the identity of Mr. Goldberg, and then to his own Burbank Police Department. That's evasion of loyalty to the city of Burbank. I would ask that you review Burbank Code of Conduct, sections A1, 2, 3, and 4. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Mike Darian, followed by Mark Scroggs.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Darian, and I have the privilege of providing housing in Burbank for many years. I'm here tonight to share my concerns regarding the proposed rent control measures and the rent registry. I've always treated my tenants like gold, not because I'm just a nice guy, though some of my friends might say that I am, but because I understand the responsibility that comes with owning property. My tenants are not just occupants, they are partners. They are taking care of my investment, and I believe I have an obligation to take care of them in return. That same sense of responsibility applies to you as public officials. I know you are here to serve not for short-term popularity, but to make sure thoughtful decisions that ensure the long-term health and prosperity of our community. The proposed rent control and rent registry go well beyond what the state already provides. If these measures pass, many responsible housing providers like myself will not have the resources to properly maintain our properties. My properties are in pristine condition. That doesn't just hurt us, it hurts the tenants and hurts the very neighborhoods that make Burbank great. We're already seeing ripple effects. Burbank schools are struggling with funding shortfalls. They couldn't even pass a parcel tax to support our children's education. When policies drive out investments, they weaken stability, create communities less likely to support strong schools and vital services. This isn't just about rent, it's about the future of Burbank. I urge you, please don't trade long-term stability for short-term optics. Don't do what's convenient today if it sacrifices Burbank's future long after your term ends. Just as I hold myself accountable to my tenants, I urge you to hold yourselves accountable, not just to the tenants, but to the homeowners, business owners, and housing providers who are the backbone of Burbank, now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Mark Scroggs, followed by Ed Brett Hurton.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Scroggs. Regarding the entertainment bills, the state, it's crunch time. The Senate, I have to change this because the state Senate okayed their bill. They were like 35-1. The Assembly, I just got an email about saying they passed it on a bipartisan basis. Now they have to go to the other houses, but they went without any dollar figures. So the $750 million everybody hears about, I don't think is going to be there. And I don't know if it's going to be 350 what it was. But the headlines make it look like all's good. It's not yet. So I encourage people first, the easiest way is to go to www.keepcaliforniarolling.org. The site's very easy. You just hit it. You write a senator or assembly member. They help you fill it in, and it goes. And they keep track of all the people. I think I looked earlier, it was like 75,000 people had done it so far. And the reason why this is important, besides jobs, last week I attended the TV Academy's Enemy event for the Pit, which was great, at Warner Brothers. At the panel discussion, John Wells said they employ over 1,000 people on the show, including extra security, medical personnel from Providence St. Joseph, and a lot of other people. You just see it. It was interesting to go to a set that I never had to go to without anything, just seeing everything and how much is involved without having to worry about my client, which was quite interesting that way. So, and it's also it's used on the tour for Warner Brothers, so it's a reason to go to the tour, and it's a reason to keep people employed. I know there's thousands of people, submitted for every role. Whenever I get an appointment for a client, they beat out 3,000 or 4,000 people just for the appointment. So it's very critical for us to keep having these projects here. It's got state funding because it had a California Film Commission logo, which you don't see when you watch on Max, so they zip through it so fast, but on a big screen you can see it. And I know that they got like $12 million last year to help out. And so it's just important, the florists, the tourist people, all the other stuff. One of the things we talked about in different groups is making sure people like yourselves can go see some of these sets, because I don't think you've seen them, and it really is impressive when you're not, because I haven't been that many sets since the pandemic. And so it's really important to go just to get an understanding, because as one person said, most people don't understand what the business is like here unless you're in it. So that's for tonight. So please, www.keepcaliforniarolling.org, and hopefully it's June 15th when the budget's due. We'll see what happens.
Thank you so much for your comment. Our next speaker is Ed Brotherton, followed by Joseph Massimi.
Thank you very much.
Massimini, sorry.
Yeah, this is regarding a February 11th meeting regarding the sanctuary city policy. There was a public comment moment where I came up, gave a public comment, and sat back down. Another woman came up, started to give her public comment, turned around and addressed myself and another gentleman and began to basically chastise us. There was no call from the city council to please redirect yourself to the chamber. At that moment, she was no longer addressing the council. She was addressing the public and no longer making a public comment. But you guys did nothing to stop that. And here we are in the public being on camera while being chastised with no ability to defend ourselves from the chastisement. When asked about, somebody brought up an issue later about that, and you said, quote, I didn't see anything that was above an issue. I sent you an email about this, and I got a kind of a formulaic sort of response back with not really addressing the issue at all. So I just following up here today to find out whether or not I'm going to get some sort of response back with respect to this sort of activity, because I don't know now what the actual rules are with respect to the city council's, what the rules are with respect to whether or not a member of the public can, address the public or not versus the chamber. And it seems like the way we were treated when the issue was raised was different than how she was treated, because her position was in alignment with yours, and ours was not. And I could be wrong, but it just felt like an unconscious bias sort of toward her versus us. And we weren't even allowed to present ourselves and defend ourselves against that sort of public chastisement. And I just wanted to see if there's going to be a follow-up at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joseph Massimini, followed by Diana Pulver.
Hi, City Council. My name is Joseph Massimini. You got it right. I applied for the open position in the Landlord-Tenant Commission. I did so wanting to be of service to the city in which I live and grew up in. I was educated at Jefferson, Muir, and Burbank High before I went on to Cal State Channel Islands and the University of Denver for degrees in business. I currently live, work, shop here, and am often playing up on the Verdugo's mountain biking after work. I'm neither a landlord nor a tenant, so I hope my independence from the issue can offer an objective perspective on the commission. If you select me for this commission, I will apply the applicable tenant laws dealing with rent increases, evictions, and the like, without a negative personal experience swaying my view. On a high level, I'm a strong supporter of personal property rights and abiding by freely made contractual agreements that govern the property owner and renter relationship. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment and your application. Our next speaker is Diana Pulver, followed by Jackie Waltman. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name, as you said, is Diana Pulver, and I'm here to ask that you keep mom and pop housing providers, such as myself, in mind when you make your decisions regarding additional housing controls. My resources are limited and being strained daily by the rising costs of what it takes to maintain my units in great condition. For example, my insurance premiums have risen by 34% over last year's. If additional expenses are imposed, it will make it nearly impossible for me to maintain my units in as good a shape as I would like. Please do not forget us mom and pop housing providers that have pride of ownership and want the quality of life that Burbank has to offer to continue. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Jackie Waltman, followed by Susan O'Carroll.
Hiya, City Council. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution and defend democracy. You're not doing that on the rent cap issue in spite of what the voters have decided. Perez, Takahashi, and Anthony, you have declared war on small housing providers in the city. Developers are building multi-story high-rises with inadequate parking all over the city. Many small housing providers are selling their properties in the face of the draconian rent cap proposed, but maybe that is your intended goal. There's already a state-mandated guardrail regarding rent increases. However, if Burbank enacts its own redundant guideline, it will cost millions of dollars to monitor. Is this the best use of city funds? If you look at Los Angeles, you can see that rents are much higher and much less stable, and smaller housing providers are forced to sell their buildings to developers who offer housing at much higher prices than was previously available. Those buildings are generally not subject to rent control for the first 15 years. What is the point of voting if our elected officials ignore what voters want? How can you ignore the certified results of a free and fair election? The callous disregard and willful disrespect of Burbank voters by this council is frightening.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Susan O'Carroll, followed by David Donahue.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm here as a follow-up to an email I sent you in the last day or so asking the city and you to formally and strongly oppose SB 79. I understand that the city did send a letter to Senator Wiener about SB 79, but it's important that strong opposition be communicated as the bill moves through the Assembly to each of the Assembly committees. As you no doubt know, under SB 79, developers could by right develop apartment buildings of up to 65 feet in height and 100 units per acre within a quarter mile of a BRT station, or up to 55 feet in height and 80 units per acre within a half mile of a BRT station on commercial or residential land. And thanks to other legislation, that would be with no parking. There are 5 BRT stations proposed for Burbank. They're proposed at Olive, at Riverside Drive and Hollywood Way, at Alameda and Naomi, at Olive and Verdugo, at Olive and Lake, and at Olive at San Fernando. So if you draw a half-mile radius around each of those, that equals a little over 3/4 of a square mile, which means that close to 4 square miles of Burbank's area would be impacted by this legislation. That's close to 20% of the city of Burbank. So that legislation in combination with the BRT, would severely impact neighborhoods along that alignment. And that's part of why the BRT is so dangerous. Homeownership is the main way that the middle class builds wealth. This bill gives the suburbs to developers to build rental property, further reducing homeownership rates in California. And one of the things it also does is it increases the price of existing homes by driving up the land value, because that land is now usable for 6-story apartment buildings. So it makes existing homes and homeownership less affordable. This continues the process of making families indentured servants to large rental property owners, forever slaves to rising rental costs, and unable to build savings in the form of equity in their own homes. The other thing this does is by ending up with these large apartment buildings scattered throughout the existing single-family neighborhoods is you're going to have a major impact on Burbank's infrastructure. We already know from the EIR, from the housing element, that just meeting the RINA numbers exceeds the sewage treatment capacity of the city of Burbank. And you've had testimony.
Thank you for your comment. That's your time.
Thank you, but please send strong letters to these people. Thank you.
That's your time. Our next speaker is David Donahue, followed by Joe Pimienta.
Mayor Perez, Vice Mayor Takahashi, council members, and talented staff, my name is David Donahue. I am a homeowner and business owner in the wonderful community of Burbank. Recently, last council meeting, I came before you and talked about how state fund was granted emergency rate increase. Housing providers are going to be subject to something more than about 30% rate increases. And you just had someone who's making public comment to you that over the last year or so, that particular person's insurance rates have gone up by 30%. And not once during the almost 3 years of us making public comment to everybody up here, a lot of people, has the council directed staff to say, let's look at the costs that the housing providers are actually feeling. I'm not necessarily looking for anecdotal, but if we're able to come up and I'm going to say, hey, state fund is going to increase it by 30% more, it's not hard to look to see what insurance companies or what other people are charging housing providers. To that exact point, AB Assembly Bill 12 was just voted down, and it was voted down by Assemblymember Nick Schultz, former Mayor Nick Schultz, former Councilmember Nick Schultz. He joined the Democratic majority to say, no, we do not want to eliminate an approximate 65-cent gas tax. All right, let's take a little stroll down Economics 101, if you put a 65-cent tax fee on fuel, you know what is going to happen, right? It's going to pass to everyone, everywhere, on everything. And what's going to happen? The Burbank Tenants Union is going to cry foul. Rents are too high. You can't raise my rent. I can't afford it. There is a certain necessity to look at some serious issues that are going to be violated, and you did a great job with what happened at the Maui apartments. I think it was a catalyst, and I think the council at that time did a wonderful job addressing an eviction, a no-fault eviction issue, and it was good work. The good work that needs to be done now, I ask and implore you, is to give some consideration to the costs that the housing providers, homeowners, and business owners are having to deal with. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Joe Pimienta, followed by Jordan Henry.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, staff, and everybody present in the chamber. A lot of things on my mind these days regarding, yes, housing, as you may be quite aware. But before all that, I do just want to say, in the wake of the atrocity that happened to Jonathan Joss, I do want to say to everyone, thank you for the action that you have been taking, standing up for those marginalized. In the past few years that I've been living here in Burbank, this city council has stepped forward very vocally defending everybody in the LGBT community, defending everybody who has difficulty with citizenship, and defending everyone who lives here. They have lended an ear, so for that, I do commend and thank you. As also a participant with the Burbank Tenant Union, as you may be aware, we are constantly talking with different tenants, and the reason why I make that segue is because, yeah, we also do talk to a lot of tenants who go through difficult situations but are also afraid to come forward because of fear of retaliation or precisely because of their status. So I would like to ask you to work on the messaging of how to make it clear that if anyone is facing any difficulty, the city will still protect them and will still see that the law is fair to them. Because we do get a lot of comments from different tenants that have a difficult housing situation but do not want to come forward. And I know that this council is very interested in helping as many residents as possible. And unfortunately, and definitely because of the current political climate, there are a lot of people living in those shadows. With all that, as you're well aware, I'm a huge advocate for the things that the Burbank Tenant Union has been advocating for. And the reason for that is simply because, yes, living just in the city of Burbank, let alone the state of California or even this country, has become very difficult, almost unsustainable. And as mentioned before, it is feeling, everyone is feeling the squeeze. That's true. So imagine again when you have very little, if nothing, to fall back on. The reason why I bring that up is because for a few years now, the Burbank tenants have been coming forward saying, if I am no longer able to afford my rent, I have nowhere to go. So again, I'm not trying to put away down the strains that every landlord is facing. Those are real. However, it is a very different dynamic. Because again, a lot of tenants have nowhere else to go, and we at the Burbank Tenant Union do promote ourselves to fight and end homelessness. Which again, the most important thing is to keep people housed by as many means possible. Yes, that's why we've advocated for a rent freeze. That's why we've advocated for a stronger rent cap. That's why we advocated for stronger tenant protections. So once again, thank you for your service. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Jordan Henry, and that is my last speaker card.
Hi, City Council, Mayor Perez. Thank you for taking my comments tonight. I'm a resident of Glendale, and on the night of May 2nd, Constantine, Anthony, and I, as you saw in the video early tonight, had an encounter with his friend Adam Goldberg. Constantine claimed that he didn't know Adam when he witnessed Adam assault and batter myself. Adam is being investigated and charged, as far as I know, for assault and battery. And that night, Constantine Anthony, despite clearly knowing him, leaving the Nick Schultz event together. Adam, as you all saw, as part of the official record tonight, in that video stated that he and Constantine were going to meet his wife. Do you go and meet your wife with strangers often, Constantine? Because not only did you lie in that video, but you also lied to the police when they interrogated you or asked you if you knew Mr. Goldberg's identity. That's all public information in the police report, the supplemental report. It's available for all of you to go read. If you look at your code of ethics, which you voted in 2023, I believe, and I assume, ethically speaking, you would uphold this. Section A under ethics, number 2, I will read this word for word. City council members shall comply with both the spirit and the letter of the law and city policy. Members shall comply with the laws of the nation, the state of California, and the city of Burbank in the performance of their public duties. Now, if you look at Penal Code 148A1, please write that down if you are taking notes. And I'm glad this is getting on the record. Resisting, delaying, or obstructing a peace officer in the performance of their duties, which can include providing false information to mislead an investigation. So the question is, did Constantine Anthony know Mr. Adam Goldberg prior to the events of him battering me on a public street in your city on Verdugo and San Fernando? Or did he leave an event with a total stranger to go meet his wife? Those are the two options. They seemed to be friendly. They did leave together. They were on a first-name basis that night. It seems bizarre. It seems a little sociopathic for him to lie to the public in this manner, especially to a police officer under his own command in this city.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank
That's
you.
your time.
Please consider reviewing your code of
Thank
ethics
you. That's
and
your
how
time.
it applies. Thank you.
All right, that is my last public comment card. No callers still,
No
right?
callers.
Okay, great. Any response from staff? Mr. City Manager.
Yes, thank you. I have two things. The first is, yes, it was a busy day at the Capitol, and some good news for us as far as SB 630 as well as AB 1138 related to film and tax credits. So both of those passed pretty overwhelmingly. I think SB 630 was 34-1, and AB 1138 was 70-1 as far as passing. What we'd like to do, this literally happened probably a few hours ago, so we don't have the details, but what we'd like to do is provide you an email update, if not tomorrow, sometime this week, to provide an update as far as what that means and if we need to do another support letter or anything like that. So we have been very active with this one, and we are definitely advocating to support that. And the other item is related to SB 79. So we did send an opposition letter related to that. That goes very against our legislative platform, as it eliminates local control with respect to development, as well as other things like limits public outreach, et cetera. We did send a letter a while back that was sent to directly through the portal to Senator Wiener. That also goes. We traditionally send that to our local electeds as well. In addition, we do send it to the different committee. So in this case, it went to the Senate Housing Committee, as well as all the members of the Senate Local Government Committee, as well as the League of California Cities. We will double check that again. I know it's on the floor right now for a third reading, and if we need to do another letter or anything like that, we will re-up on that and provide you a copy with that. But with a lot of these, that is kind of the normal procedure. We will send it to the main author, copy our local electeds, as well as whatever the Senate or Assembly committees, as well as our League of California Cities, as well as our state advocacy firm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, and I will say as a former state employee, I can confirm those letters go through the committee and at the right time. So I don't know if Ms. O'Carroll is still here, but they should receive our opposition letter at the committee at the appropriate time of the bill hearing. Mr. City Attorney?
Yeah, concerning the matters of the video, I believe PD did take a report and they referred it to our office. It was or is being reviewed for filing consideration. I'm not going to comment anymore because it's a matter of criminal prosecution. With regard to Mr. Bretherton, the presiding officer, it is within their discretion to make rulings on, whether to call speakers out of order. I will say that you're correct. Speakers are supposed to address the public directly, and I will apologize that I thought it was a minor infraction at the time, and I did not consider the embarrassment to you or the other speaker who was sitting next to you in having to be directly addressed like that by a speaker, and I apologize.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, anything else from staff? No, okay. Normally, I will call on you all to go first, just because I want to continue within the city attorney's line of speaking. I will go ahead and jump in. So first of all, thank you to all the speakers that were here. Most of you are here for a reason we cannot discuss, but thank you, we hear you loud and clear. And to those who I have yet to speak to, I would love to give you my card and have a conversation about the general subject of rent and the landlord-tenant issues. Let's see. To continue addressing Mr. Brotherton's question. So when the moment came, I turned to the city attorney, who is my general counsel and my guidance when it comes to these moments. His advice, like he said in the moment, he did not consider that situation. Now going further, after that moment, when you and the other gentleman spoke outside of public comment and out of turn, that is when I shut you down. And sir, I will shut down anybody who is speaking outside of public comment and out of turn, because we have to continue to conduct the orderly fashion of the meeting. So you have your 3 minutes for public comment. I agree. Perhaps she shouldn't have turned to you and spoken to you. And in the moment, I turned to the city attorney because that was unprecedented for me. So you heard him loud and clear. He made a different judgment call at that time than he should have, and I followed his guidance. But in the moment after, which you alluded to, the reason I stopped you, sir, was not any difference of belief. It was that you were talking out of turn. And we had several members of the city council also ask for you to stop. The city attorney also has to stop so we could continue the meeting. And I will do that for anybody who talks out of turn, because I do believe that each of you deserve your 3 minutes to speak here uninterrupted, unburdened, and hopefully without technical difficulties like the video earlier. So that was the reason I took the decision I made. And I will clarify, that goes for everybody. And I appreciate everybody that comes in this chamber, whether you agree with me or not, that you speak in your 3 minutes, you have your orderly time. And as long as we do that, I promise I will always listen to you. I hope that answers your question. For everybody, well,
I'll send an email.
I also invite you to read the Robert's Rules.
I did that.
Well, then you should know. And so to everybody else, thank you for speaking 3 minutes. Thank you for using your 3 minutes this time. And we will move forward in this topic and we will address it in an orderly fashion. Okay, who would like to go next?
I just wanted to, I can't, I make it a point not to speak to ongoing investigations, but I do want to say just generally, public officials are approached by people on the street, people they know, people they don't know, strangers, to speak and discuss issues. It is not uncommon to walk and talk with a member of the public who you may have been meeting for the first time. So I'll leave it at that.
Who would like to go next? Councilor Rosati, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for everyone coming down tonight. I got a couple of emails regarding police activity in the city. We had quite a week, Chief. We took down the burglary ring and then the crime syndicate in the same week. And I just want to congratulate you for making us proud, making us look good. People were like thinking that it was us. the great, unbelievable city. But thank you for doing that. It was a great week for us, Burbank. To the speaker who broke down Prop 79 and the impacts, I don't know if you're still here. I couldn't have said it better myself. The breakdown of what potentially could happen with Prop 79 is exactly what you stated. And then to all the property owners, thank you for coming. We hear you.
So polite. Councilor Mullins.
Please allow me. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for everyone that came tonight and spoke to address the council. And I do, even though it's not on the agenda, but for the housing providers, I do appreciate the hearing and seeing new faces that have come in tonight and, speaking and addressing us with your concerns. So welcome to the chamber and look forward to see you again if you want to come down and address us. It's not on the agenda, of course, tonight, but I appreciate seeing new faces here. I do have a question to the city attorney. Joe Pimienta asked there was a question that I have in regards to the tenants who might be afraid to come down because maybe citizenship, this is what I understood, is they're afraid to come down to speak or share their concerns with our office, with the new unit that we have. My question is, do we ask their citizenship status? Do we get information that should make a tenant concerned about their well-being here in the city of Burbank?
So council has adopted a policy concerning requesting immigration status. It's not relevant to any assistance that we would provide. Anyone who is a tenant and has a concern can call the housing department and they will refer them. They will do intake. Also, the housing clinics that are being provided aren't being provided, well, they're being paid for by the city, but it's the Housing Rights Center under contract. We do not receive that information, so it is consultation with the Housing Rights Center. The city collects no information other than just generally how many people showed up for purposes of utilizing these housing clinics that the council has appropriated funds for. So, so the council has a policy about not collecting or using immigration status, and also that information is not collected because there's no purpose for purposes of providing housing advice to the extent we can.
Thank you. So I'm glad that you brought this issue because I think the tenants need to hear that we do not collect that data, as you heard directly from the city attorney. So we welcome any tenant that has a problem, an issue, concern, or just gathering information to contact our city attorney's office and the housing unit that we have together. So thank you for bringing that up to our attention. Also, thank you, Mr. City Manager, for clarifying SB 79, and to Susan that came, she did send us an email, and it is an important issue for the city of Burbank, and we take stand, hopefully not to have this happen in our own backyard. So I'm hoping that they vote against this bill. Also, in regards to, thank you, Joseph, for coming and applying for the landlord-tenant. We're going to address that issue later. And in regards to Mr. Scott, that regarding the video, I'll be asking for something later on at the end of the meeting to get an update on what's exactly going on, because some interesting stuff that I just saw tonight. So I'll be asking for something later on. I do want to congratulate Siddhartha. Did I say correct? Okay.
He goes by Sid.
Sid, okay. What a talented young man. Congratulations to the parents for doing such a great job with this young man. And I also was very impressed with Aiden, the chair of the youth committee. Wow, what a great speaker. Great job, you two. If you're watching, keep up the good work, because obviously you guys both are going somewhere in the future. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mons. I got to tell you, as a liaison to the youth board, man, Aiden runs a tight ship, runs a good meeting. Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So thank you all for being here tonight and facing the rain that suddenly hit our city out of nowhere and making it here on unscathed. I appreciate you being here. Happy Pride Month to everyone, and wanted to just highlight the awesome program at the library of the art contest for queer and trans joy. That gave me joy, so thank you for that. And thank you to all who made public comment tonight and those who emailed and contacted since our last meeting. Many of the issues have already been addressed by the other council members. Most of the things either are going to be later in the agenda or they're not on our agenda tonight, so I won't address those. I did want to piggyback a little bit on what Councilmember Mullins was saying about tenants feeling okay to come in and ask for assistance. Specifically, you mentioned about the asking for immigration status. We also received an email from an individual who, in general, was concerned about making sure that they did not receive retaliation from their specific landlord. And so just, Mr. City Attorney, if you could speak to that just a bit to inform the community on how to contact the Housing Enforcement Unit in such a way that they can be assured that their landlord does not know they're connecting with you and that they can get the assistance without worrying about retaliation from their landlord.
Well, the number for housing is 818-238-5180. Okay, I got that right. The council adopted an ordinance concerning anti-retaliation, anti-harassment, a tenant's bill of rights, which prohibits taking action against a tenant, some sort of adverse action regarding the lease or tenancy based upon them exercising their rights. That tenant's bill of rights in many cases also mirrors state law, anti-retaliation provisions. However, when staff takes in a complaint, they do make an inquiry. So the landlord will know, naturally, that a tenant has made an inquiry because we call, and in many cases, we have our intervention has resulted in corrections of notices or the end of evictions, renovation evictions in many cases, but there is an interaction which would make it obvious that a tenant has availed themselves of our programs at the city. So, however, there are anti-retaliation provisions in state law in the city's code. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay, great, thank you. And in general, not to speak specifically to the topic that most folks spoke about tonight, in general, I just want to say that it seems that there may be some misunderstanding of what is something that we're discussing, and several folks had mentioned that we have already discussed a rent cap or discussed this issue. We have not. It's not been agendized specifically, so there's nothing that's been decided, nothing that's been proposed. Am I correct on saying that, Mr. City Attorney? There's been no specific rent cap proposed that we've discussed.
So I believe the date was February 11th, 2025? We'll have to, I don't know if I have to issue a correction on that, but I think it was February 11th, 2025. Staff brought a comprehensive staff report that talked about each of the remaining council asks, the status of them, and when they would be brought back. The first order of business, council adopted the Anti-Retaliation and Tenants Bill of Rights. And that staff report said that during this budget cycle, we would bring a rent registry and supplemental relocation assistance. Those are the two items that are being held in abeyance pending the FPPC advisory letters. And there were additional items that would be brought back after that.
Right.
So the February 11th, my calendar in front of me starts in March of 2025. There is a staff report on the council's agenda that lays out all those action items.
Great, thank you. And I recommend that if you go back and refer to that, if you can't find it, we can share a link with you about the plan, the calendar, the plan of approach for the different items. There may be individuals who you happen to know what their stance are on council for those specific items. If there is a question, at least speaking for myself, if you have a question of where my thinking's at or what my considerations, or you want me to listen to you, tell me more about your position, please contact me directly at 818-252-9014. We have not discussed it. I have not discussed my position on council, and so the way I make decisions is I don't decide until the item's in front of me. So please contact me and we can discuss. I'm open to this as communications. And just want to make sure that you're getting the right information and that you're not thinking that it's already been decided, because it's definitely not. It's not there yet. So, but thank you for coming and sharing your position. Even if that item is not on our agenda, you're always welcome.
Madam Mayor, we're well beyond
off.
responses
Thank
to
you.
comments.
Yeah, I appreciate
Joe's
that.
playing the Oscar music.
I know.
Ringing off the stage.
But anyways, thank you for coming and speaking on the topic, on what's interesting for you and you're interested in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that is the end of our responses to public comment. Now we move on to the consent calendar. The consent calendar may be enacted in one motion. Madam City Clerk, please read the consent calendar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 10 items on tonight's consent calendar. Item 1, approval of the City Council minutes of the joint meeting of May 20th, 2025, and the dark meeting of May 27th, 2025. Item 2 is approval of the successor agency minutes of the joint meeting of May 20th, 2025. Item 3 is approval of the Housing Authority minutes of the joint meeting of May 20th, 2025. Item 4 is approval of the Parking Authority minutes of the joint meeting of May 20th, 2025. Item 5 is adoption of an ordinance to amend and restate Title IX, Chapter 1, Article 9, Section 304.1.2.1 of the Burbank Municipal Code to establish very high, and moderate fire hazard severity zones in the local responsibility area of the City of Burbank. Item 6 is adoption of a resolution approving the updated rules and regulations governing utility service. Item 7 is adoption of a resolution extending an agreement with Paveco Construction Incorporated for on-call street repair services previously awarded under bid schedule number 1480. Item 8 is adoption of a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with Mission Square Retirement for the administration of the city's 457 Deferred Compensation Plan. Item 9 is verification of the annual update to the Burbank Water and Power Wildfire Mitigation Plan. And item 10 is approval of a parking permit agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Burbank and Greater East Valley to provide 2 months of discounted staff parking at the Courthouse City Public Parking Structure. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam City Clerk. Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
I believe our city manager has.
Just to clarify that, Councilmember Rosati, I'm assuming you're going to abstain on number 5, the wildland fire adoption of the ordinance.
Oh, yes, you live within the area.
The newly, yes.
Is he still able to make the motion?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, he's just
Okay.
abstaining from item number 5.
Got it.
Okay, great.
And I still second, but I'm not abstaining.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, and an abstention noted from number 5 from Councilmember Rosati. Let's take a vote.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes, and I abstain from item 5.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
And Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is the time and place for the public hearing for Assembly Bill AB 2561, Vacancies and Recruitment and Retention Efforts Public Hearing. The public hearing will report on and address workforce vacancy rates, recruitment and retention efforts, and any issues that lead to obstacles in the hiring process. If you wish to comment on this item in person, please present a salmon public hearing card to the city clerk. If you wish to speak over the phone, please call now at 818-238-3335. You will be placed in a queue until the public hearing comment period begins. Before we begin, are there any disclosures related to this hearing? Seeing none, hearing none?
No.
All right. Madam City Clerk, have the notices as required by law been given?
Yes, they have.
Do we have the complete file of exhibits, correspondence, emails, and other documents?
You do.
Thank you. And has the city received any written communications on this matter, and have they been provided to all of us on the city council?
We did not receive any written communications.
Thank you. And I was going to ask for the representative from Management Services, but welcome, Ms. Betsy McClinton. You're ready to go.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. My name is Betsy McClinton. I'm the Management Services Director. I'm here this evening to present on behalf of the Management Services Department as part of the city's required AB 2561 annual hearing on citywide vacancies. So tonight, I'm going to cover several items. Background on Assembly Bill 2561, citywide workforce and vacancy rate data, recruitment and background data, recruitment and retention efforts, recruitment process improvements, and finally, any obstacles to hiring. Staff's recommendation at the end of the public hearing is that the council note and file this report. AB 2561 became effective January 2025 and is intended to address the issue of job vacancies in local government. The new law requires that local government agencies hold an annual public hearing prior to the adoption of the budget to report on workforce vacancy rates by labor group, recruitment and retention efforts, and obstacles to the hiring process. If any of the labor groups have vacancy rates that exceed 20%, AB 2561 provides that the labor groups have the right to request that additional information be made available during the hearing. I'll note that none of our labor groups have vacancy rates that exceeded 20%. Finally, the law requires that the city's recognized labor groups be allowed to speak at the hearing. Each of the city's six recognized labor groups was invited to speak during this evening's public hearing. The Burbank Firefighters Association is in attendance tonight and plans to speak. BFF-COU, BPOA, and BCEA all confirmed that they do not plan to speak this evening, and I have not seen BMA and IBW in the audience, so it appears that BFF will be our one speaker for the labor groups this evening. So I'd like to turn now to the city's workforce and vacancy rate data. From fiscal years 23-24 to 24-25, the city's number of budgeted full-time equivalent positions increased slightly from 1,508.113 to 1,535.76. A detailed breakdown of these numbers by department and by labor group is included in Attachment 1 to your staff report. The average monthly vacancy rate by labor group for the 2024 calendar year is shown on this slide. Burbank's overall average vacancy rate across all months and all groups for 2024 was 11.29%. As of May 2025, the overall vacancy rate is at 9.6%. Attachment 1 in your staff report further breaks these averages down and shows the vacancy rate for each month in 2024 and 2025 for each labor group. So now I'll turn to the city's recruitment and background data. During calendar year 2024, Management Services received 525 requisitions, which are requests from departments to fill one or more vacancies. These requisitions covered 741 vacancies. These include all vacancies across the city, so part-time, full-time, temporary, seasonal. Recruitment staff conducted 261 separate recruitments. They conducted 10 police recruit and lateral testing processes, which was almost one per month throughout the year. This resulted in hiring 19 police recruits and 1 lateral officer. And the overall average time from a requisition to providing the department a list of candidates from which to make this final selection was 2.3 months. Attachment 1 of your staff report further breaks down the data regarding the length of recruitments by recruitment type. Okay, so during 2024, Management Services staff completed the background process for 574 employees, which is broken down further on this slide. The background process can vary depending on whether the employee is a new hire or an existing employee moving into a new position. For new hires, the background includes a thorough background, including a criminal check, and for certain titles, a Department of Justice live scan fingerprinting is also required. And the new hires must go through a medical screening and complete benefit selections and other paperwork as well. Depending on the specific circumstance of existing employees, they may also have to go through a background process, a new medical exam, and complete additional paperwork as well. This background process took on average about 33 days to complete, and 2.5 weeks of that were for the actual background and medical. The remainder are about 2 weeks spent assisting candidates and departments complete paperwork or do salary negotiations or provide notice to a previous employer. All right, so I'd like to turn to the city's ongoing recruitment and retention efforts. The most effective recruitment and retention effort over the last several years has been the City Council's adherence to its adopted compensation policy, which states that when financially feasible and in order to recruit and retain a well-qualified workforce, the city will pay the average of Burbank's relevant market. Over the last several years, the council has adopted contracts with its labor groups that provide competitive salaries. Council's commitment to providing competitive salaries is crucial to ensuring that the city and its employees continue to provide the excellent city services that the Burbank community has really come to expect. The council has also been supportive of ensuring that the city's benefits set us aside as an employer of choice. For example, the council approved 6 weeks of paid parental leave for all employees. In addition to council's efforts to provide competitive compensation, management services staff have taken steps to broaden the city's recruitment outreach and to improve the city's marketing as an employer. Staff recently created an enhanced job advertisement brochure that can be used for any position and is more modern and hopefully attractive than the standard job bulletin. Last year, the council approved funding to enable the city to enhance its LinkedIn presence. And between September 24 and June 25, the city experienced an incredible 439% increase in the number of applicants sourced from LinkedIn over the prior 12 months. And the city's LinkedIn page experienced a 66.7% increase in followers, and we now have over 6,000 followers at our page. Recruitment staff also attends numerous job fairs at colleges and universities throughout the year so that they can connect directly with students. The city also has a long-standing, robust youth employment program that consists of 3 different job experiences for the community's youth, aged 15 to 21. And finally, I also want to recognize Team Burbank, which is a group of employees representing all the departments who plan out and put on an outstanding outstanding calendar of events for employees, really to enhance connectedness and morale among the employees, and also this contributes to staff retention as well. Okay, so to support the city's recruitment and retention efforts, Management Services is also looking at ways to improve the recruitment process to create a better experience for candidates and hiring managers and ensure that this process really strikes an appropriate balance between speed and the protection of ideals of merit and the civil service system. The staff report lists 10 different process improvements that Management Services staff have engaged in over the last couple of years. I'm just going to highlight a couple here this evening. In partnership with the Burbank City Employees Association, staff entered into a side letter agreement about 1.5 years ago for a pilot program to change the recruitment process for titles that are in high demand across the city. BCA and the city agreed to create an ongoing candidate pool for these titles available to multiple departments at any time, which reduces recruitment delays for these high in-demand positions. Management Services also implemented Test Genius and Spark Hire to provide in-time recruitment testing. This allows candidates to take recruitment written exams remotely at their convenience, and Spark Hire allows candidates to video record interviews that are later evaluated by raters at the rater's convenience. So in some cases, staff have explored using fully remote testing for hard to recruit for positions, and these tools help speed the process and reduce the risk that candidates will receive job offers from other agencies, and makes the testing process easier for candidates to access. Okay, so the final topic for my presentation this evening is the identification of any obstacles to hiring, and this is a requirement as part of AB 2561. So the primary challenge that staff believes we face from a process perspective is that the city's human resources software systems are not integrated with each other, and some of them are reaching the end of their useful life. The city's enterprise resource planning system, or our ERP, is over 25 years old. This system touches every employee and every financial transaction in the city. It's really the city's human resources and financial backbone. To address this challenge, staff have included with the fiscal year 25-26 budget a multi-year funding plan to replace the city's ERP. Staff is particularly excited about the prospect of modernizing the city's human resources processes, particularly with regard to recruitment, and planning for the replacement of the ERP system is the first step. So the last item on this slide, management services staffing, doesn't really belong here, but I put it here because I wanted to take the opportunity really to thank the City Council and also the City Manager for their support over the last couple of years in providing additional staff for the city's recruitment team. This current fiscal year, Council approved the addition of 2 staff members, increasing the recruitment team from 3 to 5. And for fiscal year 25-26, Management Services has requested the upgrade of 2 positions, one on the recruitment team and one on the background team, to help attract employees who wish to establish a career in human resources. So again, thank you to the Council and the City Manager for that support. So I'd like to conclude my presentation by sending a thank you to the entire Management Services team for all of their hard work, who is pictured here, these lovely people in this picture. This is the Management Services Department. And I particularly want to thank the staff in the recruitment and onboarding section, as really this report showcases the work that they do on an ongoing basis. We actually have Assistant Management Services Director Julianne Venturo here tonight, and we have Acting HR Manager over Recruitment Renee Sanchez. They are in the audience as well. And certainly I'm available to answer any questions now or to answer any questions following the labor group presentations.
Thank you, Ms. McClinton. We will now hear from the city's labor groups who wish to present as part of the public hearing. Each group is allotted 5 minutes to speak. Now, the order of the presentation was previously selected in random order, apparently. So we will go like that. And although I know you mentioned there were some groups that were not here, I will call them out just so we hear the random order, because it's in my script. First group is IBW. No one's here. The second group is the Burbank Firefighters Association Chief Officers Unit. I know, almost had you. The next one is the Burbank Firefighters Association. All right. Welcome, Mr. Rowley. Come on down.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. Good evening, Mayor Perez and honorable city council members. My name is Eric Rowley, and I proudly serve as the president of Burbank Firefighters Local 778. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you today about vacancy rates and recruitment and retention efforts with the Burbank Fire Department. I'm happy to report that as of February 2025, we are fully staffed and do not currently have any vacancies. But it's important to know about the recent history of our department because it wasn't too long ago that our staffing levels were decimated. In fact, we lost nearly 20 veteran Burbank firefighters to neighboring fire departments in just 3 years. That was about 1/6 of our total workforce, and we were in a free fall. This was a huge loss of experience, skill, and institutional knowledge. Not to mention the cost to train these firefighters, only then to lose them to other departments. When we don't keep our staffing levels strong, it affects our daily operations in Burbank and our ability to respond to calls for mutual aid in neighboring jurisdictions like the recent Eaton and Palisades fires. Without staff, we can't do our part on wildland strike teams that are deployed throughout the state. But today, because of the work of the City Council, partnering with Local 778 and the Burbank Fire Department, we now have 0 vacancies. This is an incredible turnaround that we can't take for granted. We can't go back to those dark days. Local 778 has always advocated for proper staffing levels to provide this community with the level of service they have come to expect and deserve. And the state of our department today, where we are no longer losing firefighters and have full operational capacity, didn't happen by accident. It happened because of the commitment that you all made. This city and this council made a decision to have fair compensation and benefits to your firefighters. Our recent contract negotiation definitely reflected that. You brought in a fire chief who supports his rank and file members and gives us the tools that we need to be successful. And you've continued to look forward to the future. So we just don't have the fire department that we need today in 2025, but that we are building the department that we will need 10, 20, even 30 years from now. Because last year in 2024, our firefighters and paramedics responded to over 12,000 emergency calls for service, which is already a lot for our city of our size. And we're on track to, looks like, probably break 14,000 this year. But according to recent city studies, in 2040, our projected call volume will be probably about 20,000 emergency incidents. That's a huge increase, and we need to be building capacity right now for what we know is coming in 15 years. Our FTEs must grow to match our increasing call volume. So while we appreciate where we are today and how far we come, we must strategically start planning on how to expand our department as our city and its needs continue to grow. Upcoming budget items of adding a fourth 24-hour rescue ambulance and another fire recruit academy are key elements to our future. We look forward to continuing to work with the City Council to keep our department strong and prepare for future needs and challenges as partners in this effort. It's truly an honor to serve all of you and the good people of the City of Burbank. Our members take pride in saving lives and property every single day in our city, and we are grateful for your support. Thank you for your time and attention and all your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Rowley. Future looks bright. All right, I will just be a good noodle and continue to call these out in case anybody wants to speak. The Burbank Management Association, Burbank Police Officers Association, and the Burbank City Employees Union. Seeing no one from those agencies, that is the end of the allotted time for each labor group to speak. We will now open the public hearing to hear from any persons who wish to speak on this matter. Each person from the public may address the council on this public hearing item only. The public comment period is now beginning and no additional cards or calls will be accepted. Madam City Clerk.
No cards, no callers, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on. There will be no further public comment, and would the representative of Management Services Department like to make any further comments?
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, we have no further comments this evening, but I'm certainly available for any questions.
Thank you. And that leads me to my next question. Any questions? Councilor Anthony.
I'm happy to note and file. If everyone else.
Any questions?
No questions. Second that if you want.
I'd like to make a comment before.
I'm going to allow the two other council members.
Well, you two are in a hurry.
Before you two vote. Councilmember Mullins, any questions or comments you'd like to share?
Just an acknowledgement to, again, this didn't happen by accident, and Mr. Raleigh said that. I just want the staff to know, I do want to thank our city manager for definitely taking the lead along with our HR director for really guiding us through the process of all the negotiations of what we have gone through as a council members, and also in acknowledging a lot of the hard work our employees do put in every single day to serve our community, as we are committed to our community that we will provide excellent service, and I believe we do. I see it and I hear about it. We're not perfect, but I do appreciate every single employee and their hard work in the organization. And I thank our union presidents for, even if they didn't show up, that's a good sign too, because they could have been here saying something completely the opposite. So I think it's great work by the city manager and by all the staff for leading us to where we at today and the numbers that we have today. I mean, hearing just the fire departments have 0 vacancy. I've been in this organization for close to 13 years now, and this is the first time I hear that our fire department has 0 vacancy. So great job, everybody, and also applaud the council as a team for making the decisions that we have made during negotiations. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mullins. Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, and I echo the sentiments and comments of my colleague, Councilmember Mullins. I also want to acknowledge the work that went into putting this report together. The data that was collected was very thorough. The law does not require that level of thoroughness, and I appreciate the level of thoroughness that was provided to show a consistent and overall percentage, not just cherry picking the best ones, but showing the truth of the whole thing. And it just shows how just what Councilmember Mullins said, how well we're doing with the staffing overall. And some of those boxes did say 0 on a number of them, or very, very low numbers. So thank you for the good work on that. And this is what, a yearly report now, right, from this law? Right, so I'm looking forward to continuing, hopefully seeing these same good numbers as we move forward. It sounds like we've got a plan for that. And I know, maybe I have bias, but I think that our numbers are probably pretty good compared to the other cities that are around us. So I think it's pretty much to be proud of. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Takahashi. I want to see better numbers next year. I do have a question, actually. I have one question. I know the report, and thank you for that, the staff report goes into detail about what we're doing internally with our hiring systems. Have we talked about the public jobs portal and looked at updating that system?
Thank you for the question, Mayor. So our public-facing portal is through NeoGov, and we are always in conversations with NeoGov on what improvements could be made. NeoGov is sort of the standard. If you look at other agencies, you'll see that their job portals look almost identical to ours because most agencies use NeoGov. I think we have some improvements specifically with the experience for candidates that we could make, particularly once a candidate is selected. You'll see in the list of improvements, we did make an online portal for selected candidates to go and do their stack of new hire paperwork, and that's, I think, an opportunity that we see that we could make some significant improvements. We think we could have implemented that a little better, and I think we want to work with NeoGov to make that improvement. So that's certainly one of the outfacing pieces that I think we want to continue to work on over the next year.
Great, thank you. And I'm looking at our IT director who's taking fervous notes too.
Yes.
I think it's important because that's our outfacing thing. That's what people see when they apply. So thank you for that. And I'll just wrap us up by adding my 2 cents as well. I think it's good that we continue on this path. We've made some great negotiating decisions, and this council understands that retention recruitment is one of our top priorities. I think the fire department is a testament to that, and I appreciate Mr. Rowley coming down here and telling us what he's grateful for, but also not to forget about the future, because we can't be complacent. So thank you for your work. Thank you for coming on down and being the one to speak up. And I look forward to better numbers every year. Thank you, Mr. Clinton. And I'm going to take the motion from who made the motion?
There is a motion and a second. Motion
Great.
by Councilmember Anthony, second by Councilmember Rosati.
Even though he's not here, I'm going to take the motion. So let us move on to the vote.
Noting the absence of Councilmember Anthony for the vote. Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we've noted and filed. Thank you, everyone. All right. This is a time and place for the hearing on the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 for the city, the Housing Authority, Parking Authority, and Successor Agency. If you wish to comment on this item, please present a salmon public hearing card to the city clerk. And if you wish to speak over the phone on this item on our budget, please call now at 818-238-3335. You will be placed in a queue until the public hearing comment period begins. Madam City Clerk, same questions for you. Have the notices as required by law been given?
Yes, they have.
Do we have the complete file of exhibits, correspondence, emails, and other documents?
You do.
And will Miss Jennifer Becker, Director of the Financial Services Department, who has already beat me to the podium as well during my line of questioning, please begin your presentation. Welcome, Ms. Becker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're all anxious to go tonight. Good evening again. I'm Jennifer Becker with the Financial Services Department. I'm here to present to you for adoption the fiscal year 2025-26 citywide budget, citywide fee schedule, and GAN appropriations limit. As you well know, the budget process involves months of effort on the part of staff, followed by several weeks of City Council review. So before we move forward to adopt, let's take a look at what we've done so far. If we can bring up that presentation, thank you. 4 weeks ago, we presented to the Council an overview of the proposed citywide budget for fiscal year 25-26, as well as an extensive review of the general fund. We looked at the economic factors impacting our city revenues, reviewed our fee schedule changes, and did a review of proposed appropriations. The City Council took the opportunity to ask some thoughtful and detailed questions of staff and requested follow-up information on several budget items. That same evening, we also did a presentation of all of our enterprise funds, including Burbank Water and Power and our Public Works, Sewer, and Refuse funds, as well as the city's internal service and special revenue funds. We returned 2 weeks later on May 20th to present the city's proposed capital improvement program, where Mr. Berkman from Public Works discussed the proposed CIP projects for the coming year as endorsed by our Infrastructure Oversight Board, along with an update on the progress of our existing capital projects, which will be carried over as part of this report. And lastly, we reviewed several discussion papers that were requested by the City Council or proposed by staff as part of the budget process. And now we're back here tonight to request your approval of the entire proposed budget for the 25-26 fiscal year. So we're going to return to that summary chart we presented at the very beginning of our budget study sessions. Our total fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget number has been slightly adjusted based on Council's direction and still stands at just over $1 billion. This year's budget is comprised of 32 different funds, with our BWP electric and water utility funds making up the largest portion of our budget at 48%, and the general fund as the second largest section of the budget at 27% of the overall budget. New appropriations for 25-26 were prioritized based on their adherence to the City Council's established goals, including city services, economic development, housing, quality of life, sustainability, and transportation and traffic. Now, during the May 20th City Council meeting, we presented to the Council a list of discussion papers, at which time the Council directed staff to incorporate several of these items into the budget. Those items have been included in the proposed budget numbers we are presenting to you this evening, and they include a one-time appropriation of $250,000 for the citywide outdoor dining in private parking lots. The request for funding homeless programs and services will be fully funded. Now, please note that although it was stated 2 weeks ago that this was a one-time request, these are largely our ongoing programs, so it has been incorporated into the budget as recurring. The expanded fire department staffing models and the enterprise resource planning project will be incorporated as originally proposed in the budget. And the Job Connect Plus program will be funded on a one-time basis for $87,500 to give staff time to explore funding options over the next year. I should note that we are still awaiting word from the FPPC on the 2 rental-related items that were originally included as discussion papers. These items will come back to the Council as separate items once the conflict of interest issue has been resolved. So factoring in our approved discussion papers, the budget we are proposing for adoption this evening projects a recurring balance of roughly $500,000, which represents less than 0.2% of the general fund operating budget. That balance turns into a $2.9 million deficit in fiscal year 25-26 and remains largely stable in year 3 and beyond, as projected expenses are predicted to grow at a faster rate than projected revenues. In the meantime, we are forecasting a healthy general fund one-time balance of $19.8 million at the end of 25-26, which remains at about $15 million by 28-29, even with those projected deficits. As always, our forecast is based on what we know today, and staff will return to council throughout the year with regular financial updates as the circumstances surrounding our economic assumptions continue to change. Included in this budget is the City Council's expanded pension funding plan, which will help mitigate those projected deficits in the later years of our forecast. Just to review, staff is proposing to make an additional discretionary payment to CalPERS of $7.5 million in fiscal year 25-26, which completes our 3-year pension plan totaling $21 million. We estimate that this year's investment will generate about $1.3 million in recurring dollars, with $1 million of that savings directly benefiting the general fund. And it's highly likely that we'll be back again next budget year requesting council's approval of a new pension funding plan so we can continue to chip away at those future recurring deficits. As part of this public hearing, the council is also considering the adoption of the fiscal year 25-26 citywide fee schedule. There's one fee item I wanted to bring to your attention, which is a correction we need to make to the affordable housing monitoring fee. We initially published this annual fee at $197, but it needs to be corrected to $226 in order for CDD to adhere to their cost recovery policy and continue to fund this critical program. I should note that all of the city's proposed fees are in compliance with Proposition 26, which states that the amount we charge for services cannot exceed the reasonable cost of providing the service. Another item before you for adoption this evening is Burbank's annual GAN Initiative appropriations limit. The city is required by state law to establish an appropriations limit each fiscal year. Only those revenues from proceeds of taxes are subject to this limit. All other funds that fall under the City Council's control, such as general fund user fees, enterprise fund revenues, and interest, are exempt from this limitation. For fiscal year 25-26, the city's appropriation limit is estimated to be $285 million. The actual amount of appropriations contained within the budget that are subject to this limit is $204 million, for a difference of about $81 million. As a result, Burbank's budget is in accordance with state law, and we are well below our appropriations limit for the upcoming fiscal year. And lastly, as part of this budget, we are asking the City Council to approve the city's first formal debt management policy, which we included as part of our proposed budget document. The primary objective of developing this standalone policy is to maintain the city's sound financial position as well as our credit worthiness and ensure compliance with state and federal securities laws. The debt policy establishes the standards for the acceptable uses of debt proceeds, the allowable types, structure, and terms of debt, and internal control procedures, all of which are in line with the GFOA's recommended best practices. So in conclusion, the fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget maintains the premium level of services and programs the Burbank community has come to expect, and also provides enhancements in specific areas that address the City Council's goals and priorities. It provides a robust citywide capital improvement program in keeping with the promises we made to the community as part of Measure P. It not only funds the city's required pension liabilities, but includes additional one-time discretionary funding towards pensions, which will generate recurring budget savings and offset future projected deficits. And lastly, the budget fully funds our formal reserves, which will go a long way towards insulating the city from any future economic downturn or other unknowns. I want to thank the City Council for their thoughtful deliberations and decision-making throughout this budget process, especially given the uncertain economic times we find ourselves in at the moment. We are fortunate that the fiscal year 25-26 budget is balanced on a recurring basis and leaves us with a significant amount of general fund cash, which makes Burbank the envy of many other cities in the region. And I cannot conclude this final budget presentation without recognizing the incredible amount of effort put forth by my team with the preparation of this year's budget. I'd like to thank Deputy Finance Director Leanna McCurchin, Budget Manager Joy Escalante, Revenue Manager Susan Langford, and Analysts Nathan Lytell and Kathy Jaramillo for doing an outstanding job putting this budget together in the midst of a very challenging software system implementation. I'd also like to thank all the other staff in finance, in BWP Finance, and each of our city departments that helped produce this budget that's before you this evening. And with that, We recommend that the City Council approve the resolutions adopting the budget for the city, the Housing Authority, and the Parking Authority, as well as the citywide fee schedule and appropriations limit. And thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Becker. And we'll now open the public hearing to hear from any persons who wish to speak on this matter. Each person may address the council on this public hearing item only. And the public comment period is now beginning and no other cards will be accepted. I have one speaker card. Do we have any callers on the line?
We do not.
Okay, great. So that being said, we have one speaker, Miss Elizabeth Bax. Welcome, you have 3 minutes.
Madam Mayor and City Council and staff, I am very nervous tonight talking about something I know nothing about. And I'm trying to come as a spokesman for the people in the city that cannot understand this budget. I really, really did go through all 570 pages and tried to understand everything, and I don't. But a couple of general questions that I do have is when I look at the city going into a deficit next year, it kind of scares me. We've been really good at not going into a deficit here in Burbank. And even though it may not seem like very much money, I could live my entire rest of my life off of what this deficit is going to be for the next 5 years. So it's a little scary to me. And I don't know where, since we are adding new jobs are coming on board and we're raising prices on things. I am nervous of how we are going to handle that deficit next year as I watch the Los Angeles city go into a deficit and people are losing jobs, but we're adding jobs. So when we get the deficit next year, how are we going to pay for this? Are we going to raise a lot of city services? I mean, we've already got a huge 14% raise the next couple of years with our all of our utilities. So that's a question that somebody that doesn't know and has a hard time just digesting all this, I can't quite understand, and I'm nervous. And the other thing that you may have said, but I think I need it in layman's term, the answer to this question, is that the 2 letters that are being left behind that are not being included in this budget, if you approve this budget, what happens to those letters? Do they become budget things now, or are you approving something? It's just a little confusing to me. Or do they become their I don't know what now? So I'm just a little confused. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to learn, and I want everybody else that is in the city to be able to hear these things too, because a lot of people probably don't know that we're going to go into a deficit. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the hard work. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment and great questions. There being no further public comment, I now declare the public comment period closed. Would the representative of the Financial Services Department like to make any further comments or perhaps address the speaker's questions?
Yes, I would love to, and thank you, Ms. Bax, for your very thoughtful questions. I always appreciate when somebody can get to page 570 of the budget. Doesn't happen very often. I do appreciate those comments. Yes, forecasting a deficit is always a scary proposition, right? So a couple things I'll say on that. One, we tend to be very conservative with our projections of revenues for good reason. It's always easy to be a little bit under and be surprised to the positive than the other way around. So we naturally will project conservatively with projections. And even so, 2.9 million, of course, on the grand scale of things, seems like a fair amount of dollars, but it is less than 1% of our total overall general fund budget. So, I mean, in a sense, it's a statistical error. You're making your best projection of what you think will happen in the next 5 years. And the truth is, with everything going on in the economy, we just don't really know. There's a lot of uncertainty. So all we can do is do the responsible things to help mitigate what could be a deficit and could not be a deficit. Things like fully funding our reserves, making sure we're not spending down 100% of our general fund cash. So if we do have a small deficit, we could use that cash to plug the deficit while we take that time to structurally adjust our budget. doing things like investing money into our pension funds, which will help provide savings in the future. So if we take that $7.5 million and we invest that into our pension funds, we can knock $1 million off of that $2.9 million deficit. So all the things we're recommending you do tonight is part of addressing those deficits in advance, so that hopefully when I come back to you at this time next year, we're not facing a deficit, because we will already have made the adjustments that we need to make to adopt a balanced budget at this time next year. As for the 2 discussion papers that didn't make it into tonight's discussion, those are not included with the proposed budget before you. If those items come back to the City Council, a budget amendment would need to be made to appropriate dollars for those items. I'm assuming those would be one-time type items, so if we did appropriate dollars, they wouldn't add to any projected deficit, because it would be a one-time only item. So that would come out of general fund cash. I hope I answered all those questions, but I'm happy to answer any additional questions that the council may have.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Becker. I hope that answers some of Ms. Bax's questions, and good questions, because it's what the public generally has as well, and then fair questions. Councilor Mullins.
Yes, in addition to Ms. Bax's question, if you can talk about the additional staff, that may be a perception that we're actually adding our numbers of staff. Just listening to the fire department right now saying that we're at the level that we need to be. Can we talk a little bit about what are we doing with staffing? Are we adding, and how many are we adding?
Absolutely. I can find that within the budget here. Just a second. So currently within the general fund, we have roughly 1,000 FTEs, and we are adding 8 for the upcoming fiscal year. So that's
What's an
8.
FTE?
Oh, sorry. Here I go with the acronyms again. Thank you, Mr. McDougall. Full-time equivalent. So essentially, a full-time position counts as 1, and a half-time position counts as 0.5. So that's how we get to the what we call a full-time equivalency. Thank you for pointing that out. But yes, we are adding 8 positions to the upcoming budget for next year. And of course, they are strategically assigned to the different departments we have, just like Ms. McClinton was talking in our prior item about trying to improve our recruitment program. Some dedicated funds were used to address that. So we try to focus on the items that meet the council goals. Some positions are added in CDD regarding homelessness. So these are things that we hear loud and clear that our citizens are interested in moving forward with, and this is why we make those strategic decisions to add positions in places that are critical to the city's operations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Yeah, and a follow-up to the questions that were already asked, which were great questions. I think that looking at a large city budget, it is very complicated, and it's sometimes hard to follow. And I think that might be helpful also to explain, perhaps, that this is not a one-and-done document, right? So we approve this tonight, but it doesn't mean that now it stays exactly as it is for the rest of the year. Can you explain a little bit about how, as the year goes on and actuals start to come in, or things change, how the budget kind of evolves over through the year as well?
Absolutely. And at a minimum, the finance department comes back to the city council quarterly. You saw that chart with the red and blue bars earlier, that 5-year forecast chart. That's sort of critical to everything we do. So we monitor our revenues and our expenses all the time, monthly, to see if we are tracking where we projected that we would be. Our job as the finance department is to be transparent with the city council and the community. And if we see something heading in a direction that we need to address, the best thing to do is to address it immediately and communicate that to the public. So we're always updating our forecast. And like I said, if circumstances change for the city financially, we would be back to the city council and to the public to relay that to the community.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's my questions.
All right. Any other questions for Ms. Becker? No. Okay. I think you said comments?
I just want to make a final comment.
Okay, I had one comment too, but go ahead, Councilor Mullins. Yeah.
No, just a final comment to this budget that Ms. Becker and your entire staff have done a remarkable job. Congratulations to all of you. I've worked with you in the past, and I know you're very, very capable staff that you have in the finance department that put this budget together, and also all the departments that really worked on it in the city manager and keeping our numbers under control and closing this budget with actually a positive, not a negative, that a lot of cities are currently going through right now. So congratulations, great job. Very well appreciate everything you guys have done and presented to us, and actually carried over all the council goals and wishes that we work on throughout the year. It reflects in this budget as well. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor Mullins. All right, another comment?
Yes, I do want to echo that sentiment. Absolutely, this is hard work. To Ms. Bax, if we could pull up slide number 5, I would just like to point something out. And I'll tell you, it probably took me about 3 years sitting where you're sitting to figure this stuff out. Because, yeah, you're right. It is many hundreds of pages, and they all work sort of intermingled with each other. Can I show slide 5? Do we have that? Oh.
And while we're getting up the slide, I would just like to add too that if anyone in the community has further questions, they can contact our finance department at 238-5500, or we do have a budget email address which is budget@burbankca.gov. So we're happy to talk to you further on that as well.
Okay, so here's what I learned sitting out there in the cheap seats. You see 5 years ahead, right? The idea and the sort of push every year is to get that first column right below it to get the number not red. In the black is what we call it, right? That's what we want to work at. And right now it's $0.5. So we're technically balanced, yes. Now, we could stop at that point and not show you anything else and say, hey, we're all balanced and everything's fine. Everyone go home. Good night. What we do here in these chambers is give more information to let people know that there's always work to be done. So we do 5 years out. And obviously at the bottom, we see that the numbers turn red. That's a deficit. There's a lot we can do between now and then. And I'll remind everybody that the current budget we're voting on is for next year. That's 2025, 2026. So all the fine staff we have in this room, they are constantly working a year ahead of time to make sure everything we are bringing in and everything we're spending balances out so that we are providing optimum service at optimum efficiency. And when we look at these numbers, we're basically saying to ourselves, hey, good job this year, pat on the back, let's get working on next year, and let's get working on the year after that. And so we adopt some policies for that 5-year forecast. Sometimes we even look at stuff that's 10 and 20 years out to make sure that we can handle, again, small, like you said, less than 1% of a change, but that we're being responsible ahead of time so it's not creeping up on us year by year. And so I think, let's see, this will be my 5th budget. Every single one of those 5 budgets, the first one was in the black, but any number of the next 4 could be red or black, and it changes every year. But I want to hand it to staff and the work that they do to make sure that every year when it does come back, that first bar is correct, that it is balanced, and that is fantastic to see. And being consistent in that is, I think, the pride of the city. So thank you for the work you've done, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Anthony. Let's go. Councilmember Rosati.
Just a comment, I just want to thank everyone, all the departments for the data, the explanations. I thought it was a very smooth budget season. There was a lot of preparation that went in advance to bring everyone to where we are today. So I just want to say thanks for all the hard work.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Yeah, same sentiment. And if I recall correctly, we won an award last year for the budget, right?
Yes, we actually submit our adopted budget for review from both the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers and the Government Finance Officers of America, the national organization. And we have won that award. I think we're pushing 20, 25 years or so in a row. And we won a special accommodation. I can't remember the category. Last year, they added a new awards program. So yes, that budget continues to win awards, and of course, we'll submit it for awards this year. And with the goal of transparency and accurate reporting. So we look forward to doing that again this year.
Yeah, and I appreciate all as Councilmember Rosati said, all the hard work that every department went into making this, and the financial department for consolidating it all, and to create that consistent year after year goal of not only doing all the work of the budget but winning that award, going the extra mile to win those awards, to be recognized, because that shows an extra commitment. And I'd like to also echo what Councilmember Anthony said about kind of the projections forward. I kind of like that there's a little bit of a deficit each time in the projections, because that way it keeps us awake. It keeps us ready and awake. And if what we've seen in like our state budget, if there's too much of an excess, then we start to get crazy and start to spend everything. And so having that little bit of a deficit, right? Okay, then we don't get those swings. We stay consistent, we stay awake, we stay ready. And so it looks a little scary to be in the red, but it's just a little bit, just enough to keep us, paying attention. But it is manageable. It's a challenging process because, in our personal or even business lives, we have our budgets that we do, and that's already hard enough. It's hard to fathom the process that goes into creating all of this complexity, right? And not only do we review it, but I feel also very comfortable knowing that every year you go for that award. And so there's folks who this is their specialty, looking through it with a fine-tooth comb in addition to our own process. So that's a real reassuring thing as well. So great job on this project here. Once this is done, you're going to publish this completely on the website, have this copy available in the clerk's office and many other places, I'm sure, available to look at. And I have to also say, in addition to what Councilmember Anthony said, that sitting out in the audience, if you have questions, staff really is willing to sit down and answer there have been like, what does this line mean? What is this? I've asked these questions, and patiently staff is like, well, that's what this means, and that's what this word means, and that's how this ties to that page. And so they're, actually, honestly, you're kind of nerds about it, which is great. So you like those questions, and you're willing to be, patient and educate us when we don't know how it all works. So thank you for being willing to do that as well.
Thank you. I'll own the nerd title. It's fine.
Yeah, financial nerd. So after this, you owe yourself and your whole team and all the staff a big congratulations on getting through this.
Thank you.
All right. Well, obviously, I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Ms. Becker, congratulations. And I will say I am very grateful to the questions from Ms. Bax, because it is something that, like Councilmember Anthony mentioned, when you're out there in the public, you're wondering, well, hold on. This is a bunch of deficits in a row. But I have to say, since my time on council, I've noticed Ms. Becker's and her team, their strategy is prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and plan for the best. But I do appreciate how very fiscally conservative you have been, how very thoughtful you have been in planning. And as a council member, I feel like I've asked this every year, from the time I sat there to the time I came to sit here. This is a deficit. What are we doing to make that up? And every year I've gotten the answer about pensions. There's a couple of things we're strategizing on. There's new programs we're working on. And on top of that, we are also applying to grants to different projects. I think one very concrete example actually is one of our white papers. I do want to shout out our library staff, because this council, very thoughtfully, I asked the city manager, what's our limit? What's our dollar limit? What's in our purse strings to appropriate? He gave me a dollar amount, and we went through it as a council, and I have to give it to this council. We were very, very thoughtful, and we did not overspend this year. And one of those items was the Jobs Connect Plus program. So that was about $87,000 we're not receiving from the federal government anymore. That we had to make the choice, do we pull this from our general fund? This council said, okay, that's within our spending, that's within our budget, right? Our spending limit. And we chose to spend that. At the same time, our city staff is looking for grants and they've identified opportunities to apply to. So if if they keep working diligently and they get those grants, we may not even have to appropriate those $87,000. And that's how the city staff is working ahead and really safeguarding all of our general budget. So I think that's a very concrete example of kind of what the question was of how does this move forward? How is this fluid? And I've seen some great ways it plays ahead. And I'm really proud to say that even if we approve every single white paper that we've put forward and followed all of staff's recommendations, including the ones we're not talking about yet, we will be within that limit, which I think is really a testament to this council, a testament to staff, and a testament to everybody being thoughtful about the tax dollars of the residents of Burbank and this entire city's budget. So thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you for the questions, and please keep them coming. And thank you for another great budget cycle. Your Super Bowl is now over. You have won.
I'm not going to Disneyland. Yeah.
Oh, not in these economically uncertain times. Well, thank you, Ms. Becker. We really appreciate it. And
Can I make a motion?
Great.
There's 6 items in here. I'm going to put my glasses
Councilor
to read.
Mullins, read the
There we
script.
go. I make a motion to adopt a resolution of Council of the City of Burbank adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 and making an appropriation for the amounts budgeted. That was actually number 2, so I'm going to go, it's number 3, adopt a resolution of the City Council of City of Burbank determining the establishing the city appropriation limit for fiscal year 2025-2026. Then adopt a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Burbank adopting the budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. Moving on to adopt a resolution of Parking Authority of the City of Burbank adopting the budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. And lastly is adopt a resolution of City Council of City of Burbank adopting fiscal year 2025-2026 for citywide fee schedule.
Second.
Here we go.
All right, let's take a vote.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
And Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being here all these last nights, too. Your work does not go unnoticed. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. All right. We have, while everybody shuffles out, we still have more fun. We have 2 reports to council this evening. And after staff's presentation, the city council will proceed with in-person public comment only, as these are reports to council. Speakers will be allowed to speak on the item at the conclusion of the presentation, as long as the speaker has not spoken on this item during the first period of general public comment. Please be sure to submit your public comment cards now. And the public comment period will now begin, as the first report to council tonight is the appointment to fill a vacancy on the Landlord-Tenant Commission for an unexpired term, and I have 1 speaker card. All right. That's the only one, right? Great. So that being said, Mr. Cameron Hunter, you will have 3 minutes. Oh, do you need to give the report?
Yeah. Okay. I need to present the report first.
Sorry. You will have 3 minutes after she gives the report.
Good evening, Mayor Perez, members of the City Council, Kimberly Clark, City Clerk. Tonight I will be presenting item number 13. On April 3rd, 2025, the City Clerk's office began advertising and accepting applications for 1 vacancy on the Landlord-Tenant Commission for an unexpired term ending July 31st, 2026, which was created by the resignation of Commissioner Judy Smith. On May 20th, 2025, council considered appointing a member to fill the vacancy. With Councilmember Mullins absent, council's vote resulted in a 2-2 tie. Therefore, council decided to table the item till tonight for consideration by the full council. To obtain qualified candidates, a notice of vacancy was advertised through the following channels: the city's website, city council meeting announcements, all social media platforms managed by the city clerk's office, press releases sent to the Burbank Leader and myburbank.com, notices posted on the City Hall bulletin board, community groups and organizations, and through constant contact email notifications. The deadline to submit applications to the city clerk's office was Monday, May 5th, 2025 at 5:00 p.m. The city clerk's office received a total of 4 applications for the commission: Cameron Hunter, Constantine Metalinos, Joseph Massimini, and Maria Rodriguez. The applications are listed in the order in which they were received. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions council might have.
Now, Mr. Cameron Hunter, you will have 3 minutes to speak. Apologies. Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Welcome.
Thank you. There's an echo now. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members, and everyone else here that's helped to make this happen tonight. My name is Cameron Hunter, and I'm here to express my sincere interest in serving on the Tenant Landlord Commission. I've lived in Burbank for 36 years, and I'm currently 36 years old. Needless to say, I've spent almost my entire life in Burbank. I'm a third-generation Burbank realtor, a fifth-generation Burbankian, and now a proud father of sixth-generation Burbankians. My family has been part of this community for nearly a century, and Burbank has shaped every part of who I am, personally, professionally, and generationally. Throughout my career, I've worked closely with both housing providers and tenants. I've helped renters secure stable housing and navigate their rights, and I've supported landlords in maintaining fair, responsible housing. I believe in a balanced, respectful approach to housing, one that considers the realities on both sides, seeking long-term solutions. I currently serve as the president-elect of the Burbank Association of Realtors, where I help lead efforts to strengthen professionalism, housing advocacy throughout the city. When I heard there was a vacancy on this commission, I felt the same calling I did when I applied a year ago. I was ready then, and I'm ready now. As mentioned, it has been a year since I first applied, and a close friend recently brought to my attention that Burbank residency is currently a requirement for serving on the Tenant Landlord Commission. In the spirit of full transparency, very recently, due to rising housing costs the needs of our growing family, my family and I made the difficult decision to move just 2 blocks outside of Burbank city limits. It's not a choice we ever imagined making. While our address may have shifted slightly, nearly every aspect of our lives remains rooted in Burbank. I continue to work here, raise my children here, and stay actively involved in serving this community that has shaped me for over 3 decades. And as of today, I'm officially a Burbank housing provider. I still own property here, and I remain committed to contributing positively to the local housing landscape. With that in mind, I respectfully ask the council to consider amending the eligibility requirements for this commission so that someone who has essentially spent their entire life in Burbank, who owns property, provides housing, and remains fully engaged in this community can serve and give back in this important role. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Now, normally we would go straight to the vote, but I do have, and I see my colleagues kind of questioning. Mr. City Attorney, Mr. Hunter just disclosed a residency. Is that a requirement of the Landlord-Tenant Commission?
I would ask the city clerk. I'd have to look it up here.
Okay.
It is a requirement, and I feel that, especially with the changes that are coming, I don't know that we can make an exception for one person. I don't, in the spirit of fairness, but of course, that's not my call. But that is the law on the books. The way we have it now is that you have to be a Burbank resident to serve.
And my understanding is that given the scope of the agenda item, we can't make that change on the floor.
You cannot.
Thank you. Okay. Questions from council?
I just, I wanted to point out, Mr. Hunter, you had no obligation to disclose that. I want to thank you for coming down here, being honest. I think that shows character. We all appreciate you saying that and being forthright. I believe there are some commissions that do not require residency. I would encourage you to speak with our city clerk to look for another appointment. So I think all of us really thank you for coming down here and saying that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Councilor Anthony. Thank you for the absolute honesty, and apologies. We can't do anything to change that at this hour, at this juncture. But I do appreciate that. I do appreciate you being so forthcoming, and hopefully we'll have you back in the city at some time in the future. Councilor Mullins.
I concur with what you're saying. I'm just hearing you tonight saying that because that is part of the requirement. It's in the BMC code. We turn down applicants, as a former city clerk, if you don't live in the city, you don't qualify unless you serve on sustainable. There's an exception for a couple of the boards that we have. But I'm sorry, this is a requirement, and I honestly am going to announce it publicly. I was ready to vote for you. However, right now it's a difficult position to be in since you're not a resident. So I wish you moved 2 blocks into Burbank. That would make it a lot easier for us. But I do thank you for actually stating that you moved out of Burbank. Thank you.
Thank you for being a Boy Scout. Any other comments, questions?
Question. So now that that's the case, are we going to run through all the remaining names then?
I believe that would be the protocol.
Okay.
Okay. So noting the disqualification of Mr. Hunter, let us...
I'd like to ask a question of the city clerk. I'm not seeing an express requirement for landlord-tenant commission that they be residents. Heritage Commission.
Section 2-1-407.
407. Oh, unless otherwise provided. Okay.
May I ask another question? On the application, was it originally stated in the city of Burbank, or was that a knowledge that we had all along that Mr. Hunter did not live in the city of Burbank?
I just found out tonight that he does not live in the city of Burbank. But
So the address that was provided, was it in the city of Burbank?
He
Oh,
shared,
okay.
he disclosed in his
Okay.
comment that he
Okay.
recently moved. So this is a recent change. He was just very, very honest about it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was just wondering because I thought it was
if
Burbank.
Ms. Sanchez checked his elector status and he hasn't updated it yet, it would still look like he's living in Burbank.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, let us go on to the vote. Thank you.
All right, I'll call the names in order and we'll see a show of hands for the vote. Constantine Metalinos. Joseph Massimini. Joseph Massimini is appointed. Thank you.
Congratulations to Joseph and Mr. Hunter. We hope to see you apply to our other boards and commissions. I believe sustainability, public arts, and arts and public places are the ones? And cultural arts commissions do not require residency. Yeah. And thank you for the other capacity that you are serving our city in on the board of the Association of Realtors. Thank you for the work you're doing there. From one Burbankian to another, from one lifelong Burbankian to another. All righty. Moving on to our second report for this evening. The introduction of an ordinance establishing a conditional use permit and administrative use permit with minor modification process and clarification of applicable withdrawal process. I welcome Fatima Benitez, Associate Planner, to please present the report. And welcome to all our fabulous CDD staff joining her.
Thank you. May I have the presentation, please? Thank you. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Perez, Vice Mayor Takahashi, and members of the council. My name is Fatima Benitez, Associate Planner with the Community Development Department's Planning Division. Tonight, you are being asked to consider a proposed ordinance that seeks to amend the Burbank Municipal Code by adding processes for minor modifications to conditional use permits and administrative use permits, clarifying how land use entitlement applications can be withdrawn, and making several related minor text updates. City staff have received multiple requests and inquiries in the past several years related to minor amendments to existing land use permits, including conditional use permits and administrative use permits. However, the Burbank Municipal Code does not have a process to approve minor modifications to existing AUP and CUP conditions of approval or permit features. Instead, minor modifications are currently processed through submittal of a new application for the underlying permit, which can be costly and take significant time to process. The proposed ordinance will establish a streamlined procedure to process minor modifications of existing CUPs and AUPs without the need to file a full CUP or AUP application. This process is intended to be utilized in instances where the proposed changes do not result in a substantial alteration or material deviation from the original operational requirements or conditions of approval of the underlying permit. Streamlining requests for minor modifications will facilitate necessary adjustments that support the reasonable operation of the previously approved use while maintaining the intent and purpose of the original approval. Our current CUP process, as described in BMC Section 10-1-1934, establishes a discretionary review process for land uses that requires special consideration before being approved. These uses involve operational characteristics for project features that may have the potential to adversely impact adjacent or nearby properties, where a special analysis is required to ensure such impacts are properly addressed by applying project conditions of approval related to traffic, noise, vibration, and other similar impacts. All CUPs require public notification and public hearing. This authority to grant a CUP lies with either the Planning Commission or, upon appeal, City Council, with both bodies authorized to impose conditions of approval to ensure the project aligns with the general intent of the city's zoning regulations and the general plan, and does not adversely affect the public health, convenience, safety, and welfare. In addition to find that the granting of a CUP would be consistent with the purposes of the zoning code and the general plan, the review authority in granting a CUP must make the 6 required findings from BMC Section 10-1-1936. Furthermore, the review authority must approve the recommended environmental determination. The AUP process, as described in BMC Section 10-1-1954, is also a discretionary review and is designed to provide a more streamlined review for land uses that are generally less intrusive and impactful and more compatible with the surrounding neighborhood than those requiring a CUP. The authority to grant an AUP lies with the Community Development Director or designee, or, upon appeal, the Planning Commission, with both bodies authorized to impose conditions of approval to ensure the project aligns with the general intent of the city's zoning regulations and the general plan, and does not adversely affect the public health, convenience, safety, and welfare. AUPs do not require a public hearing, but do require public notification of the Director's proposed decision. Like the CUP, the review authority in granting an AUP must find that the project is consistent with the zoning code and the general plan, and make the same 6 findings required for approving a CUP. Furthermore, the review authority must make a decision on the environmental determination. The proposed ordinance would establish a minor modification process intended to foster economic growth by providing business owners with a streamlined pathway to propose minor modifications to their previously approved CUP and/or AUP permits, without the need to apply for a full CUP or AUP application. By enabling businesses to more efficiently modify conditions, the proposed ordinance supports local economic vitality and flexibility, which can lead to increased business activity, job creation, and overall economic development. This change will allow businesses to make necessary adjustments efficiently by reducing administrative barriers and costs. Some examples of minor modification requests staff have received include changes to business hours, the addition of incidental use to an approved use, provided the incidental use occupies no more than 15% of the existing floor area and does not require a separate entitlement. Minor revisions to floor plans, building or site plans, and changes in ownership. A minor modification to an existing CUP or AUP is not permitted if zoning or permit violations exist, unless the modification addresses and resolves those issues. Further, minor modification requests must be in substantial conformance with the existing CUP or AUP. For a modification to be in substantial conformance with the original permit, the requested minor modification cannot alter the original findings required for approval of the underlying permit of the underlying environmental determination in a way that creates a new significant impact on the surrounding neighborhood or environment. All minor modification requests will follow the same application and public notice procedure as required for CUPs and AUPs. However, in both instances, the review authority would be the director. The director may approve a minor modification of an existing conditional use permit or administrative use permit upon making the following findings. 1. The proposed minor modification request does not alter the findings of the approved CUP or AUP, and that such findings can still be affirmatively made. 2. The proposed minor modification does not involve a feature of the project inclusive of the environmental determination and any mitigation measure that was specifically addressed in or was a basis for findings in a categorical or statutory exemption, negative declaration, mitigated negative declaration, or environmental impact report prepared under the California Environmental Quality Act for the project. And 3, the proposed minor modification does not involve a feature of the project that was specifically addressed in or was a basis for conditions of approval for the original CUP or AUP, or any subsequent amendments or modification, unless that feature no longer exists, or the director otherwise determines that the project is still operating in substantial conformance with the original findings for the CUP or AUP. The director's decision on a minor modification request may be appealed in the same manner as appeals of the administrative use permits as outlined in BMC Section 10-1-1959. This slide presents a comparison of base fees for conditional use permits, administrative use permits, and the proposed minor modification process. The proposed fee for the minor modification process is significantly lower than that of a CUP or AUP because it involves a shorter overall review period and does not necessitate the same level of review as a new CUP or AUP application. This fee is consistent with the city's cost recovery policy. In addition, staff is proposing 2 minor changes to the municipal code to provide additional clarity and streamline the review process. Currently, minor revisions to a site plan for CUP projects approved by the commission require the review and approval of the commission, no matter how minor. Staff proposes to amend BMC Section 10-1-1949 to transfer the approval authority from the Planning Commission to the director for minor revisions to a site plan after approval of an existing CUP. The second proposed change is to amend BMC Section 10-1-1907 to provide clear guidelines for applications related to voluntary withdrawal of project applications, refunds, expiration of inactive applications, and administrative withdrawal due to inactivity. If this ordinance is approved, staff will have the authority to administratively expire applications where the applicant is not responsive after multiple attempts by staff to establish contact. The ordinance is consistent with the general plan, the Burbank Municipal Code, and is compatible with the objectives, policies, general land uses, and programs specified in General Plan Land Use Element Goal Policy 3.11 and General Plan Land Use Element Goal 6, Policy 6.4 and 6.5. This ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15061, subsection B3, relating to administrative projects that don't affect the environment, and Section 15378, related to actions that are not considered a CEQA project. As shown on this slide, staff recommends that the City Council adopt an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Burbank amending Title 10, Chapter 1, zoning of the Burbank Municipal Code by establishing conditional use permit and administrative use permit minor modification processes, clarifying the process to withdraw land use entitlement applications, and making other related minor text amendments. This concludes staff's presentation. However, if the council permits, staff would like to take a few minutes to respond to a few questions and public comments submitted for this item. Otherwise, staff is available to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate it. I will go to public comment first, and then I'll turn it back to you. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
You sure? Checking with our one resident. Loman, any public comment?
I don't know anything about land and real estate
And turning it,
person is talking about.
on that note, turning it back to staff to answer those public comments you received.
So we did receive a few public comments and some questions regarding this specific item. So the first question was, does the minor modification process apply to both residential and non-residential? Yes, it applies to both. However, we rarely get single-family residential CUP applications. The second item is in regard to the CUP, AUP, and minor modification fees. Staff addressed this item and included a comparison fee slide in the presentation. The third item is in regard to the types of minor modifications that have been requested for business and residential. So far, we've only received a request to modify CUPs for non-residential projects. Majority of the requests relate to modifications to hours of operation, adding ancillary uses, minor changes to a site plan or floor plan, and change in ownership. Staff would like to address that this process is separate from the council consideration of the replacement of on-site parking with outdoor dining. That type of change exceeds the scope of minor modification being contemplated under this proposed amendment. The fourth item is in regard to the addition of minor amendments to the Burbank Municipal Code, specifically about the issues with the current process for requesting a refund and what is being changed under the new process to make it better. Currently, there is no formal process to refund application fees for withdrawn applications. The new amendments provide a formal process to request an application fee refund based on the actual staff time spent to date in processing the application. This ensures residents who may need to withdraw for financial reasons or other reasons and have a mechanism to recoup costs that have been realized due to the preliminary status of the application process, while also balancing the city's actual cost spent to date in processing that application up until that time of withdrawal. Staff also received a comment from a homeowner who was doing a 2-story renovation, but then decided to change it to a 1-story. Staff informed them it would require a new application and permit. Before we can make any determination, staff would need additional information about the proposed change to avoid any speculation. However, if a 2-story application is withdrawn after this ordinance becomes effective, a refund might be available. However, depending on the actual staff time spent on the 2-story application up until the formal application withdrawal, the refund will reflect any significant work that staff has already spent on processing the application. We believe that the project may be at 600 Andover, which was a building permit for a 2-story house that a homeowner began to make some changes or wanting to make some changes. Since the scope of work and the structural design significantly changed, additional review is required. So as a result, we would like additional information. And lastly, we got an inquiry about the Gary Marshall Theater with a request to change their permit to expand their use to the outdoor parking lot area on weekends. Again, we would need additional information, but more than likely, the minor modification process will not apply to an existing indoor theater that expands outdoors by adding outdoor seating in lieu of the required parking, since the modification would conflict with the Burbank Municipal Code requirements relating to parking and could affect the original CUP findings for approval. Also, depending on the original environmental analysis, adding outdoor theater seating could change the environmental impact on the surrounding community, particularly with regard to factors such as noise, which would not be minor modification under the proposed process. Thank you.
Thank you for those answers. I really appreciate that. I know those are some of our common questions up here, but we have more. So I will take my first question, Councilmember Mullins.
Quick question. You did state some of the projects, or whether it can apply under minor modification. Would Lincoln Beer Company applies under minor modification for CUP? Because we did receive an email regarding that. So I'm not sure if that would be something applies to them.
Good evening, Greg Mirzavakian, Senior Planner with CDD. Thank you for the question. We did receive an inquiry regarding Lincoln Brewery, and the question was whether or not the expansion of the outdoor, I guess, operation would qualify as a minor modification. I believe that was the inquiry. So in this case, we would look at whether or not the requested changes in substantial conformance with the original approved CUP application, and we would look at the original findings that were made and whether or not the new process or the new request actually requires us to open up the findings and look at them again to make a different environmental determination. If the answer is yes, that it does not fall within substantial conformance, they would have to go through the full process for a new CUP.
So the current applications you have on file for CUP, which I don't know how many you have, are you going to go back and look at these applications, if they haven't reviewed them yet, to determine would this be a minor modification or a full CUP, or how are you going to handle them if they were submitted already before obviously this report is being brought to our attention?
I'll defer to Amanda Landry, our principal planner.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Amanda Landry, Principal Planner, CDD. The city staff, at the direction of the council, is looking at a separate zone text amendment to specifically look at outdoor dining for these types of uses. So it's not going to be covered as part of this effort. As my colleagues mentioned, the purpose of the minor modification is to make sure projects are still in substantial conformance with their original approval, and two, that they don't have any adverse impacts on the surrounding area. So conversion of parking area or outdoor space to outdoor dining has been something that we've learned over time that can have a significant impact on the adjacent neighborhood. So it would not qualify as a minor modification. But we will be addressing those types of use in a forthcoming zone text amendment for outdoor dining.
Thank you. I wasn't specifically targeting the parking or outdoor dining situation, but CUPs can apply for a lot of different requests. Do we currently have applications pending or individuals who submitted applications that you guys can go back and review if council moves forward and adopt this tonight and actually start separating, well, this can apply to minor modification versus a full-blown CUP review?
I see. So projects that require a CUP will still require a CUP. This minor modification process is only eligible for existing entitlements. So they already have to have a CUP in order to apply for this, in lieu of applying for a brand new entitlement.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, who would like to go next? Councilmember Anthony, you get one question.
One question.
Joking. Go
With
ahead.
regards to minor modification, can we modify this minor so he goes to bed on time? Is that, never mind, I withdraw other questions.
You get no questions next
I
time.
know, right? I think it's.
Question. Okay. Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Yeah, thank you. Great question, by the way, about the existing, yeah. So kind of in that general kind of area, if we approve this tonight and a business is looking to know whether they qualify for this, how will they know? Will it tell them on the website? Do they have to contact you to see if they qualify before they even apply, whether they know to apply for this or not?
Yeah, so staff has actually been in communication with our economic development division, and they have a few businesses that have requested this specific modification process. Considering we are introducing this ordinance, we could definitely reach out to them if they would like to get more information. And as soon as, or if this ordinance does get adopted, we will be in the process of developing a formal application and a formal process for future business owners or existing business owners to apply.
Okay, great. And follow up to that as well. So let's say that a business applies for the regular CUP process, not understanding that they could potentially qualify, or they don't realize that it's a small project enough to qualify. Will staff notice that coming through and then reach out to them and let them know that they could apply for that other process?
Hi, good evening again. Amanda Landry, CDD Planning. Just want to clarify, for the first part of your question, we have reached out to the Burbank Chamber of Commerce to let them know about this process, so they make that information aware to their membership. We can also we will update our website to have that information be more apparent for interested parties. And for every application that comes through our doors, the staff puts a significant amount of time into reviewing it and communicating with applicants on what their options are, if maybe they applied for something that isn't the most expedient process. We always work with them on figuring out the best path forward.
That's great to hear. It's a win-win for them to do the easier process. It's less staff time and they pay less money, so yeah. And then last question is, what do you expect will be the number of requests that you'll get, maybe yearly?
Yeah, so far we've received a small list of existing businesses that have inquired about this minor modification process. Tentatively, maybe we're looking at 7 to 8 applications possibly that could come in.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just have a couple of questions. First of all, thank you for answering the question about 600 North Andover. That was me. I had a resident ask about that, and I would appreciate maybe offline talking to you all more about that and getting her questions answered. My first question, though, is in relation to that. I know you shared that this applies more to commercial, or those are the real examples. Do you have even kind of a basic example of where this might apply to a residential situation?
So it rarely happens that we get a CUP for like a single family residential property. In recent memory, the one we've processed is for a height determination, where it looked at how to measure the height from which point. So it's pretty cut and dry, so it's unlikely they would ask for a modification to that determination. But this process will be available if the council approves the ordinance in the event that somehow they do want to change that. So.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful, because I was also having trouble visualizing where would that even apply? And I know the cost comparison was included for residential houses as well, so I had that question.
May I just add one more example? We have currently on the books a process for mixed-use projects. They require CUP and a development review. So there could be a situation where there's a prescribed square footage, let's say, for dedicated to restaurants and another square footage for retail, and they want to kind of change those numbers a little bit. That's a great example of a condition of approval that won't significantly change the project, but it could be seen as a minor modification to the CUP.
Oh, thank you. That's something I didn't think about, so that's a good one. Thank you for that. It's helpful to hear the examples, and I think to anybody listening, it's also helpful to know, like, where things may or may not apply. My only other question is, and we get this every time CUPs come up, they're expensive, and we constantly get questions from the public, why the cost? Is there any transparent way we can just talk about an itemized breakdown of the cost? Because I know sometimes the response, which I understand, is staff time and staff effort, but is there a way to break that down for the public?
Yes, the city has publicly available information regarding our fee schedule, including a fee study that went into developing each and every one of those fees on that fee schedule. And it's broken down into very, very excruciating detail about who's involved in every application, from all the staff, from the intake through the life of the project. So that's a public record. People can ask for that.
And where can folks find that?
Usually through our finance staff.
So our lovely finance staff, who you just saw a few minutes ago presenting on our budget, give them a call if you have questions about this process. I know we've received quite a few of them in the past, so.
I believe that number was 818-238-5500.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. All right, those are all my questions. Any other questions? No. Comments? Councilmember Rosati.
It's about time. And I've noticed this when I was on the planning board, and this is a time and money issue. And if you just look at the simple schedule, $10,000 versus $1,800 for a minor thing that our director could easily do. So I'm in full support of streamlining this process and other processes. Any low-hanging fruit that we can take advantage of for our residents, save them time and money, we should do. So yes, thank you.
Is that a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question before the motion, please? Sorry, I know.
Let's get a second,
I
and then we can deliberate.
know. It's just something that just.
How about we get it? We got a motion.
It's that
We
light
had a
bulb.
motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion.
Just to
second.
make you happy.
Question.
It's not a bad question. The new fees of $1,800, given that we just adopted tonight the fee schedule, is this something going to be added now into the fee schedule, or is it after the adoption?
Yes, I believe one of the attachments is the updated fee resolutions, which includes the CUP modification, minor modification process, as well as the AUP minor modification process.
Okay, so it will be incorporated in this year's budget.
Correct.
See, it was a good question. You see that?
Valid question, but I'm putting you both in the same bucket now.
No, please don't. Okay,
For your reference, that's attachment 2-3.
Another question?
No,
See the
just
influence?
I don't have. No, I pulled back my last question. I just wanted to say I wanted to echo Councilman Rosati's sentiments. I know there are instances, and we talked a little bit about it, how this could be used for residential property. We're going to see a vast majority of this with our commercial space, commercial businesses, and by and large, these are going to be typically our small businesses. These are not big developments. These aren't huge changes. And this is just one more step that we're taking to make Burbank business friendly for small businesses, to make it easier for them to adapt and change. You have to be nimble. You have to be flexible. You have to move with the times. So for us to be able to make these minor changes at a lower cost, at a quicker speed, I think this is going to really help a lot of folks in the city.
Absolutely, and I have a motion on the floor. I got a motion and I got a second. Let's take a vote.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
And Mayor Perez?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you all. We appreciate it. All right. That brings us to council comments, including reporting on council committee assignments, attendance at conferences, regional meetings, and community events. All right, since you all are racing out the clock, Councilmember Anthony.
Thank you. On Wednesday, May 21st, I saw the mayor at Business Life Magazine 35th Annual Anniversary Luncheon. That was fun. The food was good. That was up at Castaways. I that evening saw you again at the Burbank Adult School graduation ceremony. That was amazing. And later About 10 days later, I went to the Burbank Chamber of Commerce Excellence Awards. They had Woodbury, the quad was open up, and there was some incredible vendors there showing off their wares. And then yesterday, a bunch of us went to see the Ron and Cheryl Howard bench dedication. That was very fun.
All right, Councilmember Azadi.
Wednesday, May 21st, I attended the Police Commission meeting, and on the 30th, on a Sunday, I went to Mel Kelman's longtime resident memorial, which was fantastic, great turnout. And then on Monday, June 2nd, I also attended the Ron and Cheryl Howard bench dedication, which I think was really special, and the reasons why he returned to Burbank and that specific location. And then also that same day, I believe, I went to the Hala Resource Fair, and then I also went to the Downtown Art Festival. Actually, that was on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah.
All right, Vice Mayor Takahashi.
I'll be quick. Let's see. On the 22nd, I met with our new police chief, Chief Q. That was awesome. And then yesterday, I had a couple meetings with the San Fernando Valley COG. I had a meeting with Parks and Recreation Director Marissa Garcia about our child care task force updates, which we should be hearing about soon in the next few meetings. And then also was at the Ron and Cheryl Howard bench dedication at Johnny Carson Park. It is available for the community to go use now. It is the kissing bench, which was demonstrated several times over by folks, which was fun, and encouraged the community to participate. And then earlier today, I met with our new IT chief, Jose Calderon, who was here earlier, and we nerded out on all the different nerdy kind of tech stuff that's coming into the city. So I'll spare you the details, but it's pretty awesome.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Mullins.
Attended with everyone yesterday, the Ron and Cheryl Howard bench dedication, which was very exciting to see him. He's such a nice man, him and his wife, really, really nice. So.
Councilmember Mullins, you win efficiency this week.
I what?
You win efficiency this week.
Oh, yes.
Chris has been the long-standing champion.
I'm going to direct to the point here, yes.
All right. Let's see. Wednesday, May 21st, gave the welcome at the Business Life Magazine 35th Anniversary Luncheon. Thank you for having your event here in Burbank, and please do so again. And congratulations. I know I'm not the only Business Life awardee sitting on this dais, Councilmember Mullins. And then I also attended the Burbank Adult School graduation ceremony. Congratulations to all the graduates and the scholarship recipients. Thursday, May 22nd, I met with the folks from Stay in LA and the California United Filming group. They are wonderful, moving forward, all things filming, and seeing what we can do to work with them to ensure that we are a very filming-friendly city. So I met with them and CDD staff. Monday, May 26th, I attended our Memorial Day ceremony and got to share some remarks. It was a beautiful ceremony. Couldn't do the flyover because it was overcast, but it was absolutely lovely. Thank you to our wonderful Veterans Committee for putting that together and always doing an amazing job. Tuesday, May 27th, I filmed our My Burbank podcast with Ross and Craig, the mayor's show. If you want to check it out, feel free to do so. We also did a lovely Down the Rabbit Hole show talking about some Burbank history, some trivia on all your favorite hamburger spots. It was a great time for me to do that show. It's a wonderful show, and we did talk a little bit about Ron Howard in the show. That's how I learned a lot about his childhood. On May 28th, I met with the folks from the LA Community Garden. They recently helped us with our garden here in Burbank, and I wanted to hear a little bit about what they do and how they might want to partner with us in the future. And then on Thursday, May 29th, I had several meetings with members of our RISE program who graduated recently and were interested in finding out how they can continue to stay involved with the city. So I hope to see them applying to boards and commissions and applying to sit on this dais. On Monday, June 2nd, I attended the Ron and Cheryl Howard bench dedication. And for clarification, they do call it the kissing bench. It is 2 seats facing each other, made out of bronze. And it was very nice to hear that Ron and Cheryl are celebrating 50 years of marriage. And they chose to do so here in Burbank. So thank you to both of them. Thank you for their generous gift to the city, and congratulations on a lovely, lovely anniversary. And that is all I have. All right. Now is the time for the introduction of additional agenda items. Do members of the council have items to introduce? Seeing none. Mr. City Manager, I don't see it in my script, but do we have to go through any previous items?
Fortunately, we do not.
Oh, look at it.
Not
We're
yet.
efficient.
Not yet.
We are efficient.
The city manager likes it, so it's all good.
All right. In that case, we now adjourn the meeting to Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, for a regular city council meeting in the council chambers, 275 East Olive Avenue, second floor. Thank you, Burbank. Stay dry out in this rain and have a good night.